Hey, Eagle Eye.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, got your camera?
So I do, but before I turn my camera on, I want you to say, "Isn't my icon cute?"
No, fuck
Huh?
no, fuck
Don't you?
you. No,
Don't you like
fuck
the
you.
Zerg?
No, fuck
Don't you
you.
like the
Go
Zerg?
ahead. No, fuck you. No, we don't like. No, we don't like the Zerg. Oh man, you're terrible.
Zerg is a great example of a story incorporating the Hegelian dialect, though.
Thank you all for being here. If you have cameras, please turn them on. It'd be quite useful.
I will when I have my face on, but until then, I'll just keep to myself.
Your face on? I think I'm hoping you do have your face on. Unless because
Do you not know what that means?
I know what it means. I knew what it means. I was gonna try to make a joke, but it wasn't gonna be funny in the first place any which way.
I was laughing.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna make a joke about like blood sports and ripping people's face off during our panels, but like, all right, it's over. Fuck it. Thank you for ruining everything, Eagle Eye.
My bad. My
bad. Stardust, you're looking even more beautiful than yesterday. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I actually put some makeup on. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for being here once again. Thank you for joining last time. It was really fun talking with you and debating with you and all that. That was really, really kind of you to support the channel the way you did.
I had a lot of fun too. That's why I came back. So.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. We have a. Is this a new person? I think we have a new person.
Yes, I'm new.
Oh, hey, hi. And your name is Salty Sam. Oh, we have more Sams?
Indeed.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Too many Sams.
An army of Sams.
Another Joe could show up too. God damn.
Oh God, yeah, shit, damn, yeah. We have many Joes here. I do need to make Stream Queen merch. Thank you for that, buddy. That's actually not a bad idea. Stream Queen merch. Okay.
No, Prime, do you have a color for every? But first of all, I gotta show you something. But second of all, do you have a color for every color of the core?
Yeah, of course.
Yo, check this shit the fuck out, bro. Let me find the motherfucker. Look at this shit. Hold on, let me find this. I gotta do something. Look at this shit, bro. Look at this shit.
Welcome to Comic-Con 2020.
Yeah. Check the deal though, dude. I fucking love Green Lantern. It's my fucking
love Green Lantern too.
Shit. Yeah, it is my shit. I'm telling you, bro. I fucking have them. Like I'm about that life.
I'm not a huge DC fan. I'm a much bigger Marvel fan, but like of DC, I love Green Lantern. That's my absolute favorite.
How do you feel about Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern?
No comment. Thanks.
Dude, even Ryan Reynolds doesn't like the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern. Okay,
He kills himself in the second Deadpool. Man, I love it. I fuck with it so heavy.
Okay, yeah. We got a nice group going on here. Let's take a look. Thank you, Eagle Eye, for being here. Thank you, Joe, once again, for coming through. Joe, what's the name? The rest of your name? Joe Verz on Twitch. Okay.
Yeah, I have a weird ass fucking made up username.
Okay.
That's like 8 letters long. That's the first half.
By the way, Prime, we've got it looks like we got a pretty special guest in the watch party room. If you want to
Who is this?
Hey, Jugsy.
Oh, hi, Jugsy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I fucking muted that dude, and I'm not gonna unmute him. So you can bring him in, but I muted him.
Okay.
I just feel guilty about like picking on him because he sounds like he's so young.
He's like rubbing his fucking mic with his hand, man. It's just annoying. Muted immediately.
well, to be fair, he was saying that he that wasn't his problem. Like his microphone was messed up.
Yeah.
All right, I'll unmute him. Fuck it. Fair enough. I'll give him another chance.
Yeah. Okay. So really appreciate you guys. Also I didn't finish introducing the rest of you. We have God, I'm like clicking all over the place. Hold on, what else we have here? So we have Joe, we have Ninetales, who is surgically putting on her face. Great, fantastic. We have Salty Sam again. Salty Sam, thank you so much for being so kind as to join us. Really appreciate it. We have the other Sam, Sam the human. We need to get our Samantha Banana on here, right, and have triple Sams. That'd be a lot of fun. We have Stardust, who's back with us. We have Universe Ceased. Nice to see you once again, my friend. And especially, you're even more welcome now that I know you're a Green Lantern fan, because you must be a better type of human if you are. And then finally, we have Casino. Casino, thank you for stopping by once again.
Glad to be here.
All right.
I just remember the movie being even greener than I expected. It was wild. It was a long time ago.
Okay. So we'll jump into it. First of all, is there anything you all want to discuss? I have a topic, but if there's anything burning, a question you guys want to talk about, let me know.
On one topic, I know you guys were talking about the $15 an hour minimum wage earlier, and I guess one thing that I haven't heard talked about so much is a lot of people will moralize it talking about a living wage, and obviously I think pretty much everyone would agree that there should be some degree of federal minimum wage. Obviously, some will disagree, but I think most people would agree with that. But $15 an hour in some smaller cities is like way over what I think most people would define as a living wage. I would say that most people in smaller cities with the price of housing could quite easily live on like even like $10 or $12 an hour. Obviously, it's going to be a different quality of living. Sam,
Salty Sam, I'm gonna have to stop right here. Okay, here's the thing. We talked about this a few hours ago. We talked about this yesterday, like a blowout fight for 2 hours.
I think I missed those then.
No, it's no problem. I would argue with you, but I don't think my audience wants to hear my arguments once again for this. I disagree of what you're saying here, but that's okay. That's okay. It's just we've already done it. I don't think my audience wants to hear it
for
again.
sure.
No, but thank you for wanting to participate. Seriously, much appreciated. Kobe, thanks for coming through once again, my man. You didn't do too well this time. That's because the audience has bad taste, clearly. Kobe, thanks for being back.
Thank you. I can never pass up even the hint of an opportunity to talk about minimum wage. But I understand if we want to talk about some fresh topics.
It's the most boring topic.
I honestly, I liked the debate at first, but no, it's gotten almost as repetitive as the abortion debate to me at this point. It's gotten.
What if we start out with
Abortion is
something
basically
light?
unwinnable.
Yeah.
You can't change people's minds.
What if we start
on
out with
abortion.
something
It's just
light?
not
Like,
possible.
what is the best core of the lantern?
Oh wow, that's actually a tough call.
It's a tough call, right? I mean, you're wearing the blue right now, but I feel like you're more of a yellow fan. I feel like I think you're more of a fear.
So I'm gonna answer your question in just a second, but first, Salty Sam, you had your hand up. Did you want to? Do you have another topic? I do have a topic for us.
It was just a response to someone in chat, but I can type it. But it was just regarding he said that the Canadian minimum wage is already $15, which it's not in some provinces. I believe it's as low as I know. I know there are some provinces that it's like around 11. There might be lower minimum wages, and that's also Canadian dollars, which is 1.3 Canadian dollars.
It's Play-Doh money. Yeah, I get it.
What about Australia then?
Yeah, like they have a $20. I think the lowest is $20. Again, we're not gonna
I just
do
did
it.
the math on this.
We're not gonna do it. Sorry, we gotta move on. We gotta move on.
Yeah.
We gotta do something else. But I'll answer your question quickly. University East. I've thought about this. Blue is my favorite. Like I love the idea of channeling hope. But in terms of like combat ability, you gotta go with orange. Right, you got to go with the aren't out of avarice, because
there's only one, right?
There's only one. You get a power of a whole core, and you can expand it yourself by killing people. It's amazing. Like, it's like the best.
Yeah. I personally am a Red Core fan. Atrocitus all the way, man. I fucking love Atrocitus.
Oh yes.
But I'm also an angry person, so it makes sense.
Okay, great. So if there's no other suggestions for a topic, I will try this. So Tiger Woods recently got into a severe accident, like really bad actually. And obviously the press is all over him, just like they were all over him last time he had an incident in a car, right? Which is when his his wife took that golf club to his car. That's still fucking classic. I mean, I hope he's okay now for like the accident, but it was really funny as shit when his wife took his golf clubs to his car, when she found out that the mega cheating scandal, like the scandal to end all scandals, which people have seemed to have forgotten about, but it was amazing. Hey, Ninetales. So I'm wondering, should celebrities have a right to privacy, right? Like, should it be our business? Should newspapers be allowed to be publishing these things, these private details, right? Like, what difference did it make to the rest of us that Tiger Woods was like an all-time like king of cheaters, right? Like, what difference does that make to any of us, right? He's a golfer, and we can appreciate him for his golfing skills.
Yeah, he's also the king of golf.
Yeah, but like, do we need to know anything else about him? Like, assuming he wasn't doing something like, for instance, like abusing kids. And I don't want to put that on Tiger Woods. He definitely was not abusing kids, but assuming he wasn't doing something like that, right? Then like, what difference does it make to the rest of us? What do you think?
It doesn't make any difference, I'd argue. So two things.
Is it this kind of?
Sorry, go. Should he have a right to privacy? Yes. Should newspapers be forced to not talk about it if other people are like talking about it already? I don't think they should be forced to do that. But I do think this culture of like being obsessed with I don't know, people's lives just because they're rich is kind of dumb. Yeah, that's just me though.
I mean, I think it kind of goes with like the influence of the person, right? Like they report on people's deaths, which are a lot more extreme, obviously. But like if you have people that you influence, which Tiger Woods definitely did, maybe for the wrong reasons, maybe for the right ones. I mean, like you want to people want to know. I mean, it's public knowledge if you get into a car accident. That's just what it is. It's in public. It's not like a private thing now, as opposed to somebody like peeping into his window with a camera and finding out like he wears, tutus and shit around the house. Like, that's his own personal business. I don't think that should be out. But like, if you get into a car wreck, some people might want to know about that.
I mean, that's none of their business though. Why? Like, people want to know about it, okay, but fuck those people, right? Like, I don't care which one.
Well, it's already. About, I mean, people are going to know about it regardless. I mean, it's a public thing, right? Like, if he gets in a car accident, like it's not really going to go unnoticed by the public. So
car accidents are covered by the media sometimes.
I don't think the media like affects it like that. So
I think it's tricky because as a public figure, your job is to be public, right? But I don't know how I feel about the whole cheating thing. I think the reason why it was such a big thing was because there were so many children that looked up to him. When all that came out, people were I mean, like, it was the same level as a lot of other people when stories come out about them cheating. Then there are all these kids who grew up looking up to them, and it really to them it like breaks their hearts, I guess. And to be fair, like, if they were cheating, right, it would come out eventually anyways, right? Like, through the spouse. Like, people tend to be pretty spiteful, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen it come out every single time, if not by media, by spouses or whatever.
Honestly, when it comes to like this thing, or this thing we have in society where we call people who cheated like terrible people or like bad people in general, I don't know. I just don't see cheating as like something that we should even like. I don't know. I mean, it's bad, but I could still see someone like as a role model who cheated before. I'd argue like
Yeah.
it's not that bad to me, right? Like,
Well, it
I don't think
depends
that
on
would
the
be
age of the person, right?
single bond out.
If you grew up as like a kid looking up to this person, then, or if you're still a kid looking up to this person, so it really depends, right? I don't know.
I mean, I think you could look
Well-
past as far as like his performance in his field, like in golf. Like
Yeah.
you can look at
Yeah.
that outside of what he does in his marital life.
100%. 100%.
You know,
I
it's kind of
think-
like when you look at like musicians. You know, I mean, there's some musicians that do some really messed up stuff, but their music's still pretty good, you know, subjectively or objectively or whatever you want to say. But I don't know. I mean, he also you have to understand Tiger Woods is on a whole nother level of attraction of women. Like, you know, the average anybody in here, we don't have a whole bus full of Scandinavian women waiting for us at the end of our fucking.
Hey, maybe you don't.
Well, you might. I'm not gonna. You might. I'm just saying, but I don't. So it's really hard for me to understand the. It's, you know, it's hard for I'm not saying like. I think it's just hard for somebody in that predicament. He's also a young dude. He's attractive. He's successful, and so you get all these women coming after him. I mean, it's almost like natural that something's going to happen like that. You know, it doesn't.
I
So-
mean,
have
I
to.
disagree. I disagree
It
completely.
doesn't
I
have to.
don't-
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't have to, but
People
I'm
aren't
saying
built
that
to be monogamous, honestly. We're just not, like-
So I'm not even going to comment on that, but I don't disagree with the fact that people are more than their personal lives, obviously, right? He was somebody who's admired for his athletic prowess, but for young people, I guess, looking up to somebody like that, they tend to like idolize, they tend to idolize these role models that they have in every aspect, right? So it kind of sucks for them. I understand that. When all that stuff about R. Kelly was coming out, I was very personally offended for like why was I personally offended? But well, the girl was 14, so
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That's a
no. That's a no.
Yeah.
That's different as cheating, in my opinion. That's
Well,
way.
yeah, I mean,
That's
way
a little
worse.
bit.
the argument there is not the cheating, right?
The argument there is that he was like abusive to like multiple women, right?
But
So I was personally offended, very personally offended, and it's yeah, it's weird. It's weird to think about it now that I was so personally offended by this, but I understand it to like an extent, I guess, with Tiger Woods for people who grew up looking up to him, right?
Unlike the cheating element, I wonder about this. I don't really have super strong feelings either way. But so if we look at a monogamous relationship as a kind of like social contract that you sign with another person, you're agreeing to be monogamous, right? And then you cheat on them. Would it be fair to see this as somebody perhaps that is known to cheat on like a business deal? Somebody who who's very notorious to go back on loans, something like this. Obviously, the financial world is different. There's different stakes there. But this is in the instance of somebody who says, borrows $100 from you, promises to pay it back, and never pays it back. It's a similar thing. You're making us contract. There's an exchange of emotional and etc. In the relationship sense, and it's financial in the monetary sense. But then you're breaking that social contract. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that there's a difference between business and like personal, especially sexual life. Like people are pretty able to like separate like their business relations versus like their sexual ones, right? Like there's business people who like do kink stuff on the side, right? Like, yeah, I mean, I guess you can kind of make that argument, but I don't think people who cheat are like you can make like a big correlation between those two.
Well, there's an extreme
can I get in
emotional
on this
investment.
before-
Oh, sorry, can I just respond to that real quick and then Tiny tells?
Yeah, we're just
I think-
getting far off from what I was going to say, and I hate derailing things. So
for
sorry.
sure. I suppose I respond to that. I think that there is. You think that you need to factor in the extreme emotional investment that goes into a significant monogamous relationship. Right. This is something that this is abuses. Yeah, this is many times the way that abusers use. They can use the emotional investment of a relationship to get emotional abuse out of people. Right. So we shouldn't underplay it. It's not just. Oh yeah. Let's not every relationship's a fling. Anyway, sorry. To Ninetales.
Thank you. Yeah, and just because I want to comment on the paparazzi now, I've got my shit set up. Yeah, so I think there's the paparazzi and the way that these things are handled are inherently predatory. Um, they're doing it for money. The more views they get, the more money they get. We know this because of advertising in the media. So they're just going to follow things that they think are sensational enough for people to find. But this is nothing we don't know. What bothers me is that they have no journalistic integrity. They're basically just doing what capitalism tells them to do, and they're not following these things out of like some serious implication they have to society. They might do that like opportunistically, and that might, you know, make it seem like they care sometimes, but in general, like that's not their purpose. Their purpose is not journalism. And so like attributing like any good they might do is to ignore like the mass amounts of bad that they do. Because when we look at like this cheating situation, sure, Tiger Woods is a public figure, but what about when these things pull in people who aren't public figures or who don't want to be public figures, who haven't volunteered for this? These things, I think, have much greater impacts to people's lives than the subject matter being covered. And if we're not acknowledging that things like the paparazzi can destroy lives, destroy families, and stuff like that, then we're not really acknowledging the sort of damage it can do.
Yeah, I think
Isn't it kind of innate in celebrity status to like, just like on Twitch, right? You're putting yourself out there for the rest of whoever's watching.
But
So
he's a
celebrities
sports
are
star,
also out
though.
there.
That's kind of different,
And
right?
and one
Like,
Not really, he's a
I have a
celebrity.
couple things to kind
Well-
of touch on here is like journalistic integrity. I feel like really a journalist's like number one thing is to like get information out, right? So I'm not really sure like as far as their standards for how they get that information really comes into it. We've definitely had it like history in
Well,
the
you're
past
talking
where
about someone's life, right? You want
right,
that to be
but
accurate.
to be fair, right, I agree with you, right? It sucks that people's lives are in the play, right? But to be fair, they are public figures who do voluntarily get involved with somebody who might not be a public figure, and they themselves maybe don't weigh like the gravity of that situation,
I
right?
think we're overplaying the term public figure a little bit here. There's a difference between a public figure like Barack Obama, Bernie Sanders, or a political activist who is like in the social scene, and somebody who's like really good at hitting a ball with a golf club, right?
True.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
sports
Like
star,
the
not like a
info,
Hollywood actor.
you point out something well, which like it's a journalist's job to get information. That's true, but what the information is, I think, is kind of ties to how much leeway they have of how they get it. I think it's fair for like, for example, the Watergate situation, Pentagon Papers. Pentagon Papers was like leaking government information, but that was because we were bombing Laos and Cambodia, not because Kim Kardashian had a fling with, you know, some other person, right? Sorry, Ninetales.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that misleading damage does more information to the person it targets than accurate information, and this is why it bothers me that there is no journalistic integrity. You know, they can go off pure conjecture, they can go off somebody's hearsay, and like basically what they're getting away with is legalized slander. So like, or if not libel. So like, when I look at it from the perspective of what are they actually doing for people and to people, I don't see a lot of benefit outweighing the cost.
I'm
Well,
curious.
I agree with you.
Gotta
If
be
it's
some
like
benefits since
incorrect
people pay for it, right?
information, it really
Well-
sucks, right? I agree with that. Like, if, for example, the Boston bombing, that was one example of where when it first happened, we kept getting so much misinformation around it, and it was very upsetting. People actually, I think, died because of that misinformation. People were attacked because of the misinformation. So I agree with you. I agree with you in that. I don't know as far as like the Tiger Woods scenario if there was like a lot of misinformation. I don't know a whole lot about the situation. So if there was, then yeah, it's horrible.
Did
Yeah,
anybody see
it felt
the?
to me like a lot of people were equating them to journalism and like that they do some sort of public good when they don't. They don't do journalism, and they don't on total do in public good, in my opinion.
Yeah, the journalism between, let's say, Tiger Woods and like the Boston bombing, that's a completely different level, or I guess standard. I don't know if anybody saw the Britney Spears documentary or what. Did everybody see that? If you did, it would play perfectly into this conversation, because the paparazzi would literally follow her around when she had that mental breakdown everybody knows about. Before I thought she was crazy. Now I realize it's just literally like these people are bombarded by paparazzi every second of the day. She was out trying to. She had a dispute with her like baby daddy, trying to get the custody of her child, and she had paparazzi all throughout that time, like yelling at her, trying to provoke her. And she like flipped down. She was like, "Stop following me!" And she went to the back of a gas station trying to get away from them, and they still found her. They were like tracking her car and stuff. And I'm sure that would get to anybody. So to go to the point of paparazzi versus like let's call it journalism, um it's not right. It's just how can we get the most clicks on our magazine, the most views, and there's no journalistic integrity attached to that. So no, I don't think they should have a right to follow celebrities around. I don't know if there's a way to like legalize that or put some kind of regulation, or maybe if we even want to step
It's called
into
a
that,
restraining order.
right, but like do you restrain every single like can you restrain a publication from following you at night like when you're trying to get away? I don't know.
So there's somebody with their hand up.
Someone wants to go. It's fine.
I came a little late to the conversation, but if the topic is still, do celebrities have a right to privacy? I would pose this one argument where it's like, what is it to be a celebrity? To be a celebrity, it means to have fame. It means to have like a vested number of the population interested in you. And when I see like celebrities get harassed, it's like, I'm like, oh, well, that's like their sacrifice of making millions of dollars. They have like those kinds of problems. And for have like a vested interest in the population, if though that population wasn't interested in you, then you wouldn't be as big of a celebrity as you are now. I'm not saying it's like morally right or wrong. I'm just saying to be a celebrity, you have to have like a vested, like a population has to be vestedly interested in you. This happens like very frequently. So I do want someone to either like, I would like to hear an argument on why celebrities don't need that vested population interested in them, but they still should be on the title of celebrity, which would kind of be my axiom.
Well, for one thing, we don't even want celebrities to have political opinions. Typically,
makes
right?
sense.
People get mad when they have political.
I mean, I
opinions.
don't.
How about that? I kind of
So,
agree with
like-
like Leonardo DiCaprio's opinions on stuff. I mean, his global warming opinions, naturalistic opinions. Like there's certain, not every celebrity, but there are celebrities that have even Joaquin Phoenix is extremely.
Wait, didn't a celebrity become a president?
Russell Brand. Fucking Russell Brand.
Yeah, but in general, like, in general,
Ronald
this is a-
Reagan. Ronald Reagan was a celebrity. He was like a movie star. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we
Trump was a
literally just
celebrity,
had Trump. Like, why?
Yeah, well,
Oh,
Trump
yeah, and
also
Trump.
like a celebrity,
Yeah,
but,
I
like,
forgot about
Like,
that.
I'm sorry if
You
you guys
just-
haven't
yeah, like-
encountered this, but it actually exists. And like, if you want to talk about scrutinizing people for the power they have, I'm all for it. But that's why I want something with journalistic integrity to do it, and not like a capitalist news out or magazine outlet.
I think it's a little hard because I could kind of flip either.
Businesses too.
But
Their
they're
goal
not
is to
paid
make
for
money.
putting out sensationalism. They're paid based on their ability to follow like a journalistic standard.
to get the hottest clickbait title that might not be accurate.
Well,
If
sure,
a
but they're
journalist
still
works for
paid.
anything that's it's like a for-profit news agency, Washington Post, New York Times, it's not journalistic accuracy. It is what pays. I mean, there are
Yeah,
infinite stories of stuff getting.
What I'm saying is, I want real journalists. So if they're not
Me
doing
too.
real journalism, then
nationalize all
Well,
journalism. I'm joking.
Okay.
Here's the thing. People say that they want real journalism, but when I see real journalism, people like snore. They like literally do the Z emoji in real life. Like no one cares for like bombing in Syria or like this thing. Because I remember in like Firefly Lane, one of the main characters was like a journalist, and like the stories he would post, like he would actually go into these like desert wastelands. But like these stories are boring. I would never click on something like
It's
that.
like clickbait
Well,
for
you're
YouTube.
pivoting quite a bit because like you started with, well, they need to be held to, celebrities need to be held to some standard, and now it's like, well, when they are held to some standard, it's not entertaining enough for me. It seems like your actual argument is that you just want to be entertained, and you feel like celebrities are there to do that for you, regardless.
Yeah.
Like,
So
Tiger
two
Woods
things.
is not
I'll
there
have
to
a-
simply entertain people, so I would disagree with that.
No. So two things. I'd have a difference between my stance on like news outlets and a stance on celebrities. So my stance on celebrities is that because you require some sort of fame, some sort of privacy is going to be like disallowed. Like people are going to ask for pictures in the bathroom. You have no privacy in like any public spaces, whether that's moral or not. Someone would have to convince me of that. But my celebrity on my stance on newspaper is like if someone's a real news thing, they're just not going to stay afloat. And we see this happen all the time. Like Fox Media, one of the medias, I don't know if anyone's going to be triggered by this, but one of the medias who like does like blatant misinformation is one of the populars. So like this happens all the time where it's like it's not based on who does the truest media. And if it was, every media would just go out of business because no one cares.
Well, we're kind of making it sound like that if I walked into like the New York Times or even like a outlet I don't like the Washington Post, I'm never going to find a journalist who works on journalistic integrity. A lot of people have to go through school where they're taught what journalistic integrity means before they can even qualify for the job. That doesn't mean that they're automatically operating on journalistic integrity. That does mean that they're being paid for their qualifications in that sense.
Question.
But like,
who's the journalist you like more? Like, who's the journalist you like most? Because I guarantee
that's not. Sorry, I want to finish what I was going to say there. I was trying to like finish something.
My bad.
As far as like getting the story out, that's fine. I don't think that these people, these human beings, even if they are celebrities, deserve to be harassed any differently than any of us don't deserve to be harassed. So like, I feel like if anyone here is making the case that because they're celebrities that this is fine, but you're also against cancel culture, you're probably a major hypocrite.
Wait, all right. So let me answer that. Wait, can I answer? So there's two different arguments here. So one, do celebrities deserve to be harassed? Well, no one would like want celebrities to be harassed. But do they like? Is that a part of their job? Like celebrities mean like a population has
A golfer is not
I wouldn't
a
say
public
it's
figure.
part of their
Why are
job,
actors
but
celebrities?
it's not a part of
Let them.
their job.
Hey,
but
let
they
them
do
finish.
have-
Let them finish.
they do
Let them
have-
finish. Let them finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Yeah. So celebrities do mean that a population has a vested interest in you. I don't know why you said no to that. And I said celebrities don't deserve to be harassed. But
the question you
with
asked
that
is if they
vested
deserve if they deserve to be harassed as part of their job. That's what I was saying no to, just to be extra clear.
Yeah.
No. I said no. I explicitly said they don't deserve to be harassed, but a vested population has an
We
interest
demand
in
this
it,
as
so
a
it comes with
culture.
the job most of the time. Now onto the news, onto like more. You brought up the cancel culture argument, but I don't think the cancel culture argument is similar to the celebrity argument. When right wingers talk about cancel culture, they probably talk about how someone shouldn't be canceled from something they did years ago that like right wingers wouldn't even ban today. So I don't know if that has anything to do with celebrity culture. If you can make that comparison like a little bit more clear, then maybe we can.
Well, they're
like, argue
also
about it.
against the harassment campaigns that happen. Like, I'll agree that the argument that they shouldn't be canceled for something they did 20 years ago is worth discussing. But like, if you're against the harassment campaigns that like people who are against cancel
Wait, what are
culture tend to be
harassment
against.
campaigns?
Like
I don't
harassing
know what that is.
public figures over their
Okay, so
behavior,
when
for
someone's being
example.
canceled, they'll tend to be harassed by people, or their employers will be harassed or something by people who want to see them like removed from their job or platform or whatever.
like
And
Eminem
then
right now.
I don't know.
How can we say that's
I think
wrong?
Eminem's okay.
Eminem gets
Everybody
canceled like
No, but
every
isn't
6
isn't
months on
like that
Twitter.
a
Like he's
thing?
fine.
I've been hearing about that.
So
I've been hearing about that.
For those who
this
seem
is just so
confused,
no.
for those who seem confused, I'm saying you can't have it both ways. I'm saying you can't say that you don't want to see the harassment campaigns against like online people because you empathize with them, but then like you're fine with it because you don't empathize with celebrities.
Oh, okay. So there's two fundamentally distinct things. So I do like see what you're saying, but there's a distinct argument between someone should get harassed because they're a celebrity and someone should get harassed for something they didn't even do wrong. So the conservative argument would be, like Eminem, should he get like fans? And he made a song about this. It's called Stan. Should he get stans? The conservative would be like, yeah, he should probably get stans because that's his job as a celebrity, but he shouldn't get harassed online because of something he didn't even do wrong.
That's assuming
something
that.
he
Sorry,
was,
I want you to finish. Sorry.
that would be the argument. So I still don't see how these necessarily are related, or how you cannot hold both. Like you can hold both positions and be logically consistent.
That's holding the position though that every time every time the paparazzi goes after a celebrity, it's for justified reason, and B, nobody's ever been canceled for justified reasons or harassed as part of a canceling campaign for justified reasons. There's a lot of overlap here, and I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
Yeah, but no one's gonna say like the cancellation of Bill Cosby wasn't warranted. So like when it is warranted, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
So you're
maybe
saying that. So
People
I would
wouldn't
say
be
that the
hunting
majority
down
of paparazzi
No, people.
campaigns. Can I just quickly? I'm going to make one last response, and I'll let everyone else go. I'm just going to say that the majority of paparazzi campaigns are not for justified reasons. So your argument does not bode well for the paparazzi side.
Okay, so we have a few new people who've come in, right? So we have Mofa King, JD. So there's that. Hello, how are you? Thanks for being here. We have Dre Gonna Dre. Thanks for being here. And then we've got a few people. Debate Lord as well. Thanks for stopping by. And I feel like I'm missing someone. Oh, Top Dolphin, Adam. Thank you for being here as well. Thanks all for stopping by. So we can continue on this topic. Someone else suggested that we talk about teacher accountability and reforming. Should teachers should we be judging them by like different metrics, right? Is standardized testing a good idea? And all that stuff. So we could that's another topic we could switch to if you guys want to. But just putting that out there. But if you guys have something to say on this, then we can. Sorry, if you Mofa, do you
one point to make on this is all I wanted to say is there's the only reason that people are outside Kanye's house at 5 a.m. filming him inside his garage is because there's a market for it. People want to see it for some messed up reason. We as consumers apparently want to see this stuff, and that's what gets money. So that's why it's made. People wouldn't be following them around doing that shit if it didn't make money, flat out. So, I mean, I don't know why we're putting this on celebrities or journalists or their integrity or anything like that. It is what is making money. How are you blaming them for?
Yeah, but you can make money on the black market. Everybody else not a good argument for it.
Yeah, this is not a good argument.
What are you talking about? That's not.
Okay, well,
so
hold on.
Make money on the black market. That doesn't mean that it's a good.
I'm going to make a very extreme comparison. I'm not making a direct comparison, but we would all agree that somebody who filmed a piece of like illicit pornography with kids in it, that person is like morally culpable, right?
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter. Be like, well, I mean, there's going to be people that want it either way. It's like, yeah, that's true. And yes, it's true that, that child pornography is going to be produced irregardless, but that doesn't mean that it's okay to engage in that kind of, producing those things. And you can do the same thing. Is it selling heroin?
When that happens, when they find the producers? No, what did they do when they find the producers of child pornography? What did they do? They find the entire network of people who are buying it.
Dude, what the fuck?
You gave like
I don't like this
opposite example.
What the fuck? What the fuck, dude?
Justifying the.
What are you talking about? They literally
for some reason I can't
hunt
hear
down those people. What are you talking about?
Can I quickly respond to this?
Can you not hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Nine Tails. What?
I can't hear Debate Lord.
Debate Lord?
Anyone else?
I can hear him.
I can't hear him either.
I can hear him.
I can't hear Mofa can.
You can adjust people's individual volumes, by the way, if you can't hear.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing, Debate Lord, isn't just simply a really lazy appeal to capitalism. Just because
I'm not. That wasn't me.
Because it's convincing to you. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at pictures, and I mixed up your picture because it's a cat versus a dog. So I thought I saw a dog.
Sorry.
Who am I responding to? Can I call you Matha, or how should I refer to you? I don't want to.
Probably just JD would be.
He's muted. I think Mofo is muted.
Yeah, whoever was saying that, it's basically just a lazy appeal to capitalism. Like, just because it's convincing to you that you can say like, oh, this is the way things are, so therefore none of these other things matter. That doesn't mean they stop mattering. That's just your opinion. I'm particularly laying out why the lack of journalistic integrity leads to harm for these people, and how if you care about the harm that things like cancel culture cause to people, then it's just a little bit hypocritical to suddenly not care because someone's a celebrity and you don't identify with them as much.
I mean, to be fair, celebrities do, I think, give up a little bit of their right to privacy. So we can talk about like this kind of thing. We can talk about we can talk about the treatment of celebrities and say, hey, these people are still human beings. You probably shouldn't harass them and stuff like that. But like in the definition of being a celebrity, like is like having, like, for example, one example is like having a face that's recognizable to people. By having a face that's recognized, like if you have like a household face that everyone recognizes, when you go out in public, people are going to recognize you. And like you can't expect everyone to like just like ignore the fact that like this person that they see is like on TV is like right in front of them. Now we could say if you see that person in real life, you probably shouldn't harass them, but like you can't say that like they have the same right to privacy as someone who doesn't. It's like part of their job.
I mean, yes, they.
I think
do.
you're necessitating. I think
by
you're
law, they
necessitating.
do, and they should. Like,
Public figure at that point.
Go ahead.
I just.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I just want to let someone else in. Let's Mofa. If you'd like to jump in. Mofa, did you want to say something? I don't know. Okay,
I'll jump in.
Okay, maybe not. All right, so
go ahead.
Sam, you haven't got a chance to talk.
Yeah, so having a recognizable face, I don't think that is a requirement to be a celebrity. We have tons of cases where they're not. I mean, like Banksy, Daft Punk, voice actors.
Hello.
Hey, are you having? Sorry, 1 second. Mofa, are you having a delay? Because I called in you a little while ago. Are you having a delay? We can hear you now. Hello. All right. I don't know what's going on with him. I'm sorry.
I mean, it must be.
Yeah, I think you're having a delay. Maybe leave and come back. I'll pull you back in and try that. All right, go ahead, Sam. Apologize.
Yeah, so we have tons of cases where celebrities don't show their face or have some privacy in some way where they aren't in the public eye except for when they're doing whatever it is that they're celebrities for. So would you consider like Daft Punk or these other people not celebrities because they don't have a recognizable face? Or like, because it was a necessity for your definition of celebrity, right? So
I'm not saying that's the only definition of celebrity, but we're talking to like certain like levels of privacy, like different types of celebrities probably have different levels of privacy. So for example, if you're a like very popular voice actor and then you go on to, I don't know, you like say something in public, or like maybe you go to like McDonald's drive-thru, like people might recognize your voice. And like someone who's like a model who's just on magazines might not have that same, but people will recognize their face or their body. So like you can like say, I'm not saying that all celebrities have the same level of like privacy. I'm saying that like when you like reach certain levels of celebrity, that you necessarily give up some of your like ability to be private in some way.
Yep.
Now at the same time, that doesn't mean we need to go around and harass celebrities. We can like, I think like we're kind of moving into like the treatment of celebrities and saying, well, just because this person's face isn't really public and maybe you don't like their stuff, doesn't mean you should walk up to them in public and like call them an asshole and tell them to kill themselves, because like we wouldn't do that to any other regular person either. So we could say like
I don't think anybody would justify.
Like the same.
Yeah, no one's justifying doing that. My point would be that there's a reason that people are doing that, and it's because there's a market for it. There's enough people that want to watch TMZ and see celebrities drunk falling out of the club, that we've been built on a culture of that. So we have to blame ourselves for these things being made as much as we're blaming the publications making them, because we're the people consuming it. We're the people that are essentially funding it.
So boycott TMZ, right?
Well, boycott people as well. Boycott the USA. I guess.
No, my point would be boycott fucking like celebrity worship. Stop worshiping people. Stop holding them up to some perfect light and being, I'm a stan of this, I'm a stan of that. Stop worshiping everything and just let people be people. Everybody makes mistakes. None of your heroes are going to be as good as or as perfect as you want them to be.
Well, could you argue if you don't see them in their natural light, then you only see them as their projected self on whatever their medium is. So
well, you don't know who they are.
Natural. I kind of like, I love to see, like, I'm a huge fan of Jim Carrey. I love seeing him break the fuck down on camera, like have this like existential meltdown against a random reporter, because that's who he is. Like I can respect it. It's whatever. Like I love his art. I love his movies.
That's fine, but
I kind of want to know who he is.
Of like, don't you think there's a degree of voyeurism to that there's almost like that's almost not even our business to like I know he's the one
It's
going
not
and
your
doing it.
business.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
Almost.
But
to
like
be fair, he does throw it out.
it feels. I like I said, he's
I
the
could
one
make the
going
same
and
argument
doing
with
it.
you right
But
now.
it feels
folks.
like voyeurism
Stop.
because it feels like information that's really not privy to. It shouldn't be privy to us.
Stardust.
Like it's his. I don't know.
Stardust.
I guess it's.
Let
I think
me try someone else. Stardust, go ahead, please.
Oh, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I don't really have much to say about more to say about this, but I just wanted to say Jim Carrey is scary as heck, dude. You've seen the way he like twists his face in movies. I'm scared of that guy. Like that dude is made of nightmares.
I made of nightmares. He's made of dreams
Yeah,
and
dude.
laughs.
That's that
No,
90s
dude. I did
comedy.
not think he
Very
was funny
physical.
as a kid. I was terrified of the guy. Like, how do you
Oh,
do
I
the
wish
face
I
look
had
like
his
that?
face. Can you? Okay, are you talking about the Grinch? Because they CGI'd his face to go that
No,
far.
I'm talking
Like,
about every movie he was in. I was terrified.
Mask was weird.
He
Dude,
can
I
make
love
really
him.
funny facial
I
expressions.
love
like,
him.
I like
I love his.
Ace
I love
Ventura,
his
he was
comedy. Yeah,
adorable
he's
with that
classic, man.
coiffed up hair.
I don't know, man.
He is
I found
insane
the
though,
first
and I
time when
think
I
that's
was like
I think
6,
that's
he
why
scared the
that's why I
living shit
brought
out of
up
me.
like yeah, that's why I brought up the point of like seeing him in real life. Like yes, the thing I
Oh,
think
shit.
it's kind of pertinent to see these like you know like it would have been nice to see like more into Robin Williams' life. Not to bring up that sad fact, but like nobody knew what was going on. Now I wouldn't say TMZ is the rightful people to go and like delve into his personal life, but it might have been a good thing for people to know
Oh
who
my
these
God,
people really are
no.
outside of having just this fake persona. Is he's always the funny man. He's always got to be
Well,
like the one
No,
that
this
makes
is
the
like
laughs.
bad.
You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I don't think
Honestly,
we
There's no
necessarily
reason
need
for you to
like
know.
a.
Like
I don't think we
you don't.
necessarily need like a the inside of like celebrities' personal lives, but I also think there's a difference between someone, let's say like Jim Carrey, for example. I don't know what actually is happening. I don't keep up with celebrities. So let's say like a celebrity having an outbreak in public, and then like paparazzi like sneaking onto like trespassing on property, or like going into like people's homes and stuff like that, and like trying to film like private spaces. Like if you are in a public space as a celebrity, you have given up some of your right to privacy. Like if a random lady on the side of the street has a mental breakdown in Walmart because she had a very stressful day, no one cares. Like maybe it makes local news and gets like a couple hundred people who see it at most, but for the most part, no one cares about the random lady in Walmart who has a breakdown. It happens every day. But if you're a celebrity and people recognize who you are, like you've like as part of your job, like that is like part of what's gonna happen.
Again, I would
It's not
argue
part of the
that
job, no, but okay.
I would argue again. We're going to go back to these cases, but like
well, it's
at
not
what
part of their job, but it's part and parcel.
Wait,
At
no.
what
Part of a
level- at what
celebrity's
level?
job
I
is
wonder-
100%. Part of a celebrity's job is 100% to like have an appearance to the public. This is why they hire people who make millions and millions of dollars to like do PR for them.
What about
Like,
people who
isn't.
become
No,
what about
this is
people who
not
become
true
famous
about a
overnight,
ton of
like a
celebrities.
viral person, like someone who gets famous for just a viral video, and all of a sudden would you consider them as being a celebrity or someone who has a responsibility to be like public?
No.
I think anybody that can pull a
Because
crowd
that's
of
happened before, and people have like
people,
mental
say,
breakdowns,
yeah.
or you know what I mean? Like
I think we're treating this
that's
label
kind of the
celebrity
shame
with
of
like
the
This
too
is
much
like
like
two different
distinction.
things. I wouldn't count this.
I got a
people
question
celebrities
for
because they didn't
this
like
whole
make the choice.
podcast, real quick. So, if let's say that this podcast goes like viral right now, would you be perfectly fine with like people like trying to figure out your personal lives like tomorrow just because you got famous on this podcast and like put your face out?
I mean, I can only
I'm
say
not-
like from my personal thing, I don't care. Like I put my shit out there all the time. That's what I do in my real life. It's like my secrets aren't really hidden. So me
I would
personally,
consider it my
enough
job.
time
I wouldn't understand why
online,
other people.
if you spend enough time online, it doesn't matter like how big of a figure you are. At some point, probably somebody is going to try and dox you.
That's definitely
But
gonna
that doesn't make it right.
Yeah, that's
not.
No, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not
One-
saying it's right. Somebody asked our
As-
opinion, so I'm just
I just
saying.
want-
I think that anybody who goes
Yeah.
That's
even
not.
on a panel
No,
like this,
hold on.
should-
Wait. My question was like, would you see it
Yeah.
as a right or wrong thing to do, basically. So I'm,
It
I'm
would be
asking you
wrong.
morally.
It would be
wrong.
it would be
Yes,
expected.
exactly.
Like at a
It would
certain
be
point,
wrong,
like
but I
I
would
don't
also
care if it's
expect it. Yeah.
expected. I'm talking about the moral, like
Let's-
morally, is it right or
let's-
wrong?
Let's go. Let's
I wouldn't put a moral. I wouldn't put morality to
you
it.
talking. Please stop. We'll go to Ninetales. So we'll go to Joe. And then who else has their hand up? Sam. Then.
Sam.
Prime, I have to be honest. I had my hand up last out of the two.
You sure? Okay.
So,
all right.
Oh yeah, she's had her hand up for a fucking while.
I thought so. But all right, Sam.
What color is your hand?
We'll go to
compared
Sam
the
and then
other
Joe. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I still want to go over this part where like we've talked about these like levels of celebrity again with like Daft Punk. At what level do they not have the right to like not have their faces or names revealed? Like, are you saying that Daft Punk has lost that right because they've hit a certain level of celebrity, or like because I don't quite understand this distinction we're making here. I think that like if a celebrity chooses to be private, that they should be able to have that ability. I think that if there is a level of like that you may not be able to control, but like I don't think that the celebrity gives up that right if they hit a certain level of celebrity, as you were saying.
I think that's the point, is that it's not a matter of them necessarily giving up the right. It's the fact that it'll just happen. Like whether they want it to happen or not, it's gonna happen.
No, that is what that is the core of the question. Whether or not they want it to happen is the core of the question. That's okay. But the question is it okay? One. And two, is it something that we should be promoting?
Okay.
Wait, but it's okay. It's okay.
but
Like, so for example, Daft Punk is
Oh my
taking
God.
pictures.
Bro, you're saying something
Like-
we already know. Like, of course, it's going to happen. Nobody in this
No
podcast
one disagrees with.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Oh, no.
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I
you need to stop.
misunderstood earlier. I'm
Everybody already knows that it's going to happen. Nobody came in here thinking
Should it happen?
that like it's yes. The whole question is, should it happen? We all know that it's going to happen already.
No
Like,
one
that's
no
not-
one thinks it. Who's gonna argue that it should happen? No one wants that to happen. I'm saying that
I mean,
just
paparazzi.
materially.
There's people who literally do this for their job and actually defend
But
it. So yes,
I'm
like,
saying the only reason it happens is because there's a market.
We-
but there's no one,
we don't-
none of us, none of us fundamentally think that
well,
there
then
should
let's change
be
topics. Then.
a.
We should just change
Does,
topics.
does
if we all agree.
anybody think that this is all like anybody think this is okay? Like no one thinks it's okay.
How about
to walk
this?
up to Kanye's
No, the answer is no. The answer is no.
How about this? Is there a
Are you allowed to
responsible
walk
level
up to
of
somebody in
paparazzi?
public and say hello?
A
Just a
responsible,
random person.
a responsible level of paparazzi.
Right, like is there a like maybe taking pictures by a restaurant or like following people in their cars? Like I think someone had said that Princess Diana maybe died because of paparazzi or in a car accident. I don't know, stuff like that. You know, like that's
exactly what
irresponsible.
happened.
If
But
you
maybe,
can do it to a
hey,
random
who knows?
person,
Maybe it was the queen.
then
Hey,
you can
whatever.
do it. But
like,
if I don't know.
Maybe it was the
Wait,
Queen Easy with those
So
conspiracies.
I gotta let
Yeah,
some
I'm
other people in. I gotta let some other people in. So I'll go to Ninetales and Stardust. Though I will say to your question. Sorry. Was it Debate Lord? No. Yeah, Debate Lord. I will say to your question that I think once you have that capitalist goal, right, like of like getting at these people's lives. Well, if the goal is that like you make more money, where with like better pictures or uncovering these secrets, right? I don't know how you ever have a responsible level, right? If you allow it at all, people are going to escalate and take it out of hand eventually. It seems to me. You can put laws in place, but like then how do you enforce it? It's a whole thing, right? So I don't know. But we'll go to Ninetales and then we'll go to Stardust.
I'm getting all the credit, but that wasn't me. That was the other guy again.
Was that me?
I'm really confused. Oh,
Yeah.
Drake on
So
Drake.
for-
Drake on
Easier
Drake.
if y'all
Sorry.
turned your camera
Yeah,
on.
for the-
Yeah, it's very
My mic
confusing.
like always lights up. It's
Yeah.
always lit
Yeah,
up for some
that's-
reason.
Yeah,
For the
I-
responsibility
It's the
aspect,
dog, dude. It's the dog.
I'm sorry about that, Dre. Go ahead.
yeah, for the responsibility aspect, I guess the angle I'm coming at this from, I think someone mentioned it earlier. So like celebrities are known, and not just celebrities, but you know, people are known to only show their good side, right? You have these like perfect images, and maybe I don't know, paparazzi is the right word, but maybe some level of like understanding that these people are humans just like us. could be beneficial, but at a certain point it does turn like, and obviously that's common knowledge to most people, but a lot of people, don't have those views on celebrities. But to other people, it's like it can get perverse, and at a point you're trying to like knock these people down or find them at their worst moments just to make yourself feel better. And it does go to another point that was brought up where maybe it's just a sickness of our culture. Like, I don't know, looking for the worst aspect of people.
So nine tails.
I mean,
hold on. We gotta let some other people in. We got Nine Tails. We got Stardust, and then we have a new person here. Chris. Yeah, Chris. So we'll have you a third. So Nine Tails, Stardust, Chris.
So yeah, I'm just going to point out that when I respond like this, it seems fragmented because I've picked up several things that I want to respond to. So when people are trying to ask the panel questions, I hope that you'll wait until some of us with their hands up get the chance to respond to some things. But nitpicking aside, I really think that there's nothing that necessitates that a celebrity needs to lose their privacy to do their job, and therefore to link these things in a normative way doesn't talk about the ethics of it. And like the capitalism that we see in things like the paparazzi doesn't necessarily like change the ethics of things. So it can be true that yes, it makes money, it can be true that this is normal, but what are like the actual ethics of it are, in my opinion, that we are dehumanizing these people. And that's particularly bad because when we look in society, we maybe a lot of us take privacy for granted, but we do so much under the confidence that it will be used against us. When we have to worry about that with every aspect of our lives, then it inhibits people from doing that. It limits their freedom, clearly. And I don't think that you meet a lot of celebrities, maybe some, pardon me, maybe some who are way too like high on their own supply, but I don't think you're going to meet too many celebrities who actually want this to happen. So pointing out like the dehumanizing thing is important because when we're talking about ethics and stuff like that, like we don't do this to politicians really. We might do it like if a politician says something really like scandalous, but we hardly like are like, oh my God, did Ted Cruz go to a hotel with some hooker or something like that? Like that would just be slander. That would
the time.
Andrew Cuomo,
yeah,
Rudy
but
Giuliani.
if I could finish, that would be slander and that would be libel for a politician. But somehow it's not for a celebrity. And I think that this comes into how we tend to dehumanize celebrities because they've suddenly put themselves on the screen. It's really easy to do that.
I mean,
so I think. Sorry, I want to respond to what Prime asked as well. I think what's important is that maybe there might be some marginal amount of responsible paparazzi, but it's what we're not doing is holding them responsible, and that's probably the only way to have a responsible paparazzi.
Okay. Wait, the idea that it's not slander or libel for politicians, but it is slander or libel or for
no, I said the opposite.
Is wrong, or like the other way around. It's just wrong. It's slander and libel for everything. What we can talk about is how slander and libel laws in the United States are like ridiculously
you're right.
hard.
I was
prove,
referring to that,
but it's like the same regardless.
Yeah, you're
like,
right.
Even when people slander like politicians, it is extremely hard for any like legal action to be taken against them.
Like you said, I'm wrong, but we just had a semantical difference, by the way. I'm just going to point that out.
No, but no, you like descriptively said something was different.
So let's go to us.
No, we do consider it okay as a population, as a society, when that's done one way, and then when it's done against politicians, we're like, oh, okay, well that's slander and libel. So public opinion does play a role in this as well as legislation.
Let's go to Stardust, Chris, and then Joe.
I honestly I forgot what I was gonna say, but I did want to clear up. Like I don't think that it's right by any means that I guess I misunderstood the question from before, but I don't think it's right by any means to like get doxxed, right? I don't think it's right for anybody to like have their address leaked, things like that. But I think like I don't know, it's kind of like if you look at other jobs that have a lot of hazards in them, I guess I kind of view it similar to that. They shouldn't have those hazards, but there are jobs that are like very dangerous that people do, right? So
okay, Chris, then Joe.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that we do have like a responsible way for celebrities to interact with paparazzi and journalists. It's called like press junkets, right? So I think like a way for that to be possible is just to have like a two-way like consensual agreement between celebrities and journalists where you're not paparazzi aren't bothering the celebrities all the time, and maybe I don't know, maybe they just say like, "Hey, back off for today" or whatever, and then I don't know.
Could I
Consent.
get you to like reiterate what that thing was called that you said? Press Junk X.
Press junkets? Yeah.
Okay, Press Junket.
Yeah.
Google correct me.
It's-
Sorry, I just wanted to know what you. I wanted to look into it.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's like when
it's
they
usually
do
like
those
the
like
interviews.
3-minute like snippets, like they're sitting in the like director's chair and they do like 3-minute snippets about the movie.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
Do you remember your
like
point?
Do like
right?
Do you remember your point,
45. They
Stardust?
do like 45 of those
I
in a row.
kind of do. I kind of do. So it's there's one person in the chat, in the live chat. I think it's Casuabon, who's been asking some really interesting questions. One of the things that they asked was, does the paparazzi have the right to out somebody, like
Oh.
out a celebrity?
Oh.
Yeah.
What do you mean by
Yeah.
out?
Like let them
Tiger
know if
Woods.
they're gay. Like
Like
let the
a-
world know if
What,
they're gay.
Yeah.
what do you mean by have the right?
Or if they've done like anything crazy, if they catch them doing something illegal, maybe.
Yeah,
mean,
like
I
or
don't-
doing coke or
Well,
something.
But
If
I
it's in
think
a-
I think
if
the
it's in a
homosexual
public
question
space,
is
then
even.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the homosexual question is better because this was something that happened in terms of activists, right? So within the LGBT movement, like there were a number of celebrities who were in the closet, right? And it was a big discussion as to whether, if you found out if they were in the closet, whether you should drag them out. Some people were saying yes because having that attention, like the public knowing that this celebrity was gay, right? Like made being gay more normalized, right? Gave people like role models or whatever, right, to look up to, right? But
Yeah,
other people
like
are
Tom
saying that
Cruise.
it's just so so invasive, right? Like that you don't know the situation, like, and it's such a traumatic thing to be dragged out of the closet, out of your without your because someone else decided to do it for you. So like this is if celebrities don't have a right to privacy, right? Well, then we'll also follow that, like, if I find out one of them is gay, then yeah, I can publish that too, right? Even if they don't want me to, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they should
Very
have.
interesting. We saw that happen with what's her name? The Jenner, one of the Jenners, I think. The father of the
Caitlyn
family.
Jenner?
But Caitlyn
Yeah,
Jenner,
Caitlyn
didn't
Jenner?
they come out as trans?
Well, people were trying to out her before she was ready.
Oh.
The
Was it?
directors
I
of the
thought-
Matrix
I thought it
movies
was
are
like
another
a
good
big,
example, right?
like thing that when she, I thought it was a big thing when she came out. I thought it was like
It was
really
a big thing, but
well
But I think part of it
publicized
was
and
that
like
she
a big
prior
event.
to her coming out, she was people were pretty much asserting and putting that out there in the media. I think TMZ was one of the media groups that was putting it out there.
What do we expect people to do when like we want celebrity speculation about so many other things? Like
Wait.
think about like the royals in
Can we
England.
stop doing this?
Like
Where we
they
say
just
like, what do we
they
expect
just
people
like
to do when we're
hearing
talking
about
about what ought people do? Like you're
Yeah,
here.
we're trying to make
people
No, it was
evaluate
actually
points.
really sad. It was really sad because there were pictures of Caitlyn Jenner like breaking down in her car and crying during that whole ordeal. So yeah, it was really sad and really hard to see somebody go through that publicly.
Joe, you wanted to say something before?
Also,
I don't disagree.
I want to go after Joe.
Well,
actually,
I don't know. For a while, it's gotten a little annoying, and other people have been complaining about it too. And I think actually Ninetales beat me to a lot of points, but I just think it's really weird to refer to paparazzi like it's this immutable law of nature when it's not this way for all celebrities, and it's not this way everywhere. Like it really seems like kind of a California thing, actually. Like when AOC when AOC gets swarmed, like in videos of it get uploaded and shit, it's a big deal. And I think she's a celebrity, but the culture is different in different places, and it can change over time. And like, what was paparazzi before like cameras and scooters? You know, Like,
But we
it hasn't
have those
always
things
been
now,
this
right?
way.
The town crier waving his bell and his.
Yeah,
There's
but
people
we
following
have
people
those.
around trying to get
But
quotes.
Joe, we
Yeah,
have
but
those
I think it's
things
still
now.
possible for the culture to change back. Like it's I don't think it's as immutable and just like this the
It's
market
not
force that
immutable.
people are
It's just that it's on us to change. It's not on them to change. They are doing it because of us.
What do you mean?
On us
I
to
yeah, I
change
agree
as
with you there.
people to stop consuming that bullshit.
It doesn't seem like it's
on the
because of any
government
of us.
litigate it.
I mean, I think I kind of agree with you, but it
Like, when he
depends.
wants
So
the
like,
government to step in and like the army to come in and shut TMZ down, what do you want?
Well,
I
I
think
mean, I
if you
think
can
we
get
could
a
raise a question about perhaps because obviously we have one of our constitutions has to do with privacy now. One of the American constitutions has to do with maybe I'm thinking of
amendments?
something else. Amendments, sorry, yes. I believe one of the amendments has to do with privacy now, and
No.
From
no?
government.
Okay, I
Nope.
must be thinking of a law, but
Only privacy from government.
there a case could potentially be made that privacy is something that is important enough that perhaps to a certain degree we should step in and not allow at least a certain degree of this kind of paparazzi stuff because it does get into
Okay,
the
man.
territorial
So
harassment.
now think about normal journalists going to do their job, say to talk to a senator who's walking down
Seems
the street.
impossible
A
to
normal
litigate.
thing that happens. Like just when they're a walk and talk. Like that's how journalists get a lot of their quotes.
So let's go to
Their way in between
But
buildings.
maybe we need to introduce
So-
consent to that.
Let's go to Casino, and then Chris, and then back to Ninetales if there's no one else. Adam, did you have your hand up? I'm not sure if you did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Be a
It
good
was,
point.
I didn't see.
I mean,
sorry,
I
what?
used to be after Joe a while ago, but
Yeah, Casino. Oh.
okay. So back to is we kind of passed this like already, but back to what one person said before about like how celebrities actually don't really need to have their lives out there at all in order to be celebs, and this is kind of proven by like online celebs that we have right now, like a Corpse Husband and a Dream, and like these people are probably even more famous than like probably B or maybe even some A-list celebs that we have right now, but like nobody knows even what they look like, right? Like this, like so like it's not an innate thing for like, oh you're famous so we should know your personal life, right? Like
Yeah.
they don't go together like at all, right? Like yeah.
Okay, Chris, the Ninetales and Adam.
Yeah, I just want to touch on what JD was saying, and JD, tell me if I'm wrong on this. I think what he's trying to say is like society needs to kind of change in relation to like craving information about celebrities, and then once we do that change, the culture around like paparazzi and stuff will change as well. Am I
There you
correct on
go.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
That's
if
a
we're
way
if
more
we're no longer
articulate way to
hungry,
put what I was trying to say.
yeah. Like if we're no longer hungry for like pictures of Kanye at every like minute, then nobody will take pictures of Kanye. No one will try to sell pictures of Kanye. The whole society around it will just evaporate.
But I don't think that is something that can change because, for example, there's always going to be people that want to go back to the extreme example. Sorry, I can't think of a better one. There's always going to be people who want child pornography, but that doesn't mean that we just allow that to happen. So, like, I think a case could be made that, like, maybe this is something that should not be happening, and maybe it's something that we should actively prevent instead of trying to change it, change society if it's
So
something that
do you
maybe we
want
can't do.
police to be coming in and like protecting celebrity homes in Bel Air like outside, making sure that paparazzi can't be on the streets out there?
I'd like
Do you
to,
want like a
yeah.
police force sitting there? Like, what do you want?
I mean,
I was going to respond to this before, so I'd really like to
But, I
respond
mean,
to
yeah,
this
I mean,
now because we have slander and libel laws. You've heard of slander and libel laws, right? So like when people
Yeah, we
don't
have
obey
some
the
of the best
law, they already have that happen to them. So this is nothing new. Do I enjoy the fact that when people defy the law every time the cops get to have their way? No, that's a different discussion. But yes, we do have slander and libel laws, and yes, we can enforce this.
Okay.
That's something that I was kind of like leaning to earlier.
Slander and libel
laws are like extremely ineffective because in the
Yeah.
United States, at least, because like I know in the United States
That doesn't mean
like,
we
you
don't do
just-
them though. That doesn't mean we just say, "Oh, well, fuck it."
Slander and
Wait,
libel.
we can.
This was about
we can
privacy.
strengthen
You
them.
want more slander and libel law?
Wait,
You want
yeah, like
more
that's
libel
something
law?
you can advocate
Maybe
for.
more
I think
strength.
it's kind of scary, but like the current
That's
slander and libel
ridiculous,
laws are like a joke. Like they exist to try to deter behavior, but it is really, really, really hard to like convict someone who like defames, like defamation's another thing, or slanders or libels an organization.
Which is one of the
Sure,
Let him finish. Whoa. Let him finish his point.
I thought he was done. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can say like, oh, well, these avenues exist. Well, like if these avenues aren't being used in an effective way, they might as well not exist. Now we could strengthen them. Then you're advocating. Do you want stronger slander and libel and defamation laws?
Yes. Okay. Well, yes, because I want people to be protected. I want people to feel actually free and not like their privacy will be violated simply because they have a certain status in society.
Privacy and slander and libel are disjoint. They're unrelated. You
If
can
you
invade someone's privacy
if you
and it's
prevent the
not slander or libel.
paparazzi, if you prevent the paparazzi from doing slander and libel because they can only be held to journalistic standards, then they're going to respect people's privacy better. I'm sorry that you can't see that intrinsic relationship.
So with, Tiger Woods'
they
case,
can be related, but they can also be separated as well. That's the point.
For
is that they
example,
can be,
Cool. I'm really glad you can do that. It doesn't actually prove
for
anything
example,
about what
if I go out and I out somebody who's gay publicly who's not gay, I have not committed slander or libel because I have not lied. However, like someone might argue that that's something that is like morally bad. So not all like privacy things are like the same as slander or libel.
I agree. And as far as ethics go, yeah, there's going to be some things that it doesn't cover, but it doesn't mean that we just say, okay, well, I guess then the paparazzi gets to do slander and libel, and then we're just never going to do anything about it.
One quick thing. Our friend Stardust is leaving. I just want to give her a shout out. Stardust, you're a streamer, right?
Yes, I am on YouTube and on Twitch. I can link it for them if they want. It's STRDST, I believe, underscore on
I put the link in for Twitch right there, and if you have the YouTube link, you can drop it in the chat as well. But thank you, Stardust. I really appreciate you stopping by.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's
Stardust.
always fun.
Yeah,
always fun. Here, I'll just drop it real quick.
Well, thanks so much, though. And you have a wonderful night.
Yeah, you too.
Oh, okay. So sorry, I interrupted Ninetales. I think Ninetales. Did I interrupt you?
I forget what I was saying, but subscribe to Prime as well.
Okay, great.
Because he took on Destiny last night, and it was epic.
Oh, that was great. Yeah. And I'll take him on again.
Yeah, and
we're not done. We're not done with them. But let's go. Chris.
I don't know about that, man.
Chris.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to counter what Salty Sam was saying about people wanting like child porn and stuff. Just because like we can't get to like a perfect society where there's no like paparazzi harassment doesn't mean that we shouldn't at least try to, right?
I agree.
On the way to like getting there, maybe less paparazzi are harassing people, or like the need to get pictures of celebrities all the time, or slowly vanish. But
wait, I think
obviously
he was saying that just because I think that like a different point. He was saying that just because there's a market for something doesn't mean that something should exist, which is kind of what someone was alluding at.
This plays into what I was
we should do
saying.
nothing about it.
This plays into what I was talking about earlier. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Salty.
Oh no, I was just saying a side point, and it also just because that market exists doesn't mean we shouldn't litigate against it. So yeah, I think if we could do this, change this societally, I think obviously that seems to be a safer way to do it, because then we don't have to get into the whole debate over government overreach. But it seems like that may not be possible, and if it isn't possible, then that doesn't just mean that we can't litigate against it.
Okay, I have to point something out, please. Can I just have 1 second? Because this is why I said we need them to be held responsible for there to even be a potential for responsible paparazzi this way. So when person beneath me, as far as I can tell, I keep forgetting people's names.
Dolphin or Adam?
Next to Sam the human. Hi, yeah. When he said that we can't actually be very responsible at this, I think that's a reason to actually just stop doing this. If we can't be responsible at this, we need to stop doing it.
I understand the need to stop doing it. My question is how? What are you going to actually implement to stop doing this?
Because more heavily enforce harassment laws and slander and libel laws whenever you can against these institutions, because they particularly delineate themselves from journalistic entities.
Those are one of the best things about America's First Amendment and the way that our justice system works is that those libel laws are very, very hard, like we've talked about.
I agree, but you can litigate these people out of existence.
Yeah,
you can
but
sue them out of existence.
By doing so, that
who better to litigate them than super rich celebrities? Right?
Also, I just had a wonderful idea. What if we give celebrities more power to sue these people? What if we say, okay, if you're a celebrity and you've been harassed by a company, but what if we set a precedent? What if we make? I'm answering your question. If we make a legal precedent, where if you're a celebrity and you're being targeted by an entity that profits from harassing celebrities, that's known to do that, we can demark copyright trolls in courts by creating I forget what they call it, an affidavit, or it's like a special affidavit that our judge can make. But like, if we can demark a copyright troll in the legal system, then we can demark something like this in the legal system as well. And when we do that, we give celebrities the power to say, hey, I'm not okay with this. They need to stop. This is the line. And then
great. Okay, so you've done that to a journalist system that does that, like TMZ.
I'm not talking about journalism. There's a clear delineation between journalism and what these people are doing.
No, okay, not journalism. I apologize for calling TMZ journalism. I agree, that's an overstep. But my point being, you're saying they're like, shit. I lost my point.
Okay,
now.
so let's go to Joe.
God damn it.
Fuck, I did too. I got distracted by the First Amendment talk.
Okay.
Dre.
Dre.
Okay. Yeah. Just for as far as the slander and libel, I think the problem with paparazzi is they're waiting outside, right, trying to catch that picture of you doing coke or whatever, and none of that has to do with slander or libel, right? It's more like they're just trying to catch you doing so. You haven't even done something yet. Maybe they're outside the club, and there's those famous pictures of like girls getting out of the car and celebrities are right there, like trying to get some crazy picture, like some. I think Paris Hilton had a huge incident with that where they caught her upskirt, stuff like that, like weird stuff. None of that is slander and libel or is covered by slander or libel. I would say maybe a way to like actually fix this would be, I don't know if it's possible or what the laws are behind this, but maybe if you're a celebrity, you can have it so like you can't publish something without your consent or a picture.
Can I just quickly respond to that?
Yeah,
I agree. Let me respond, please. This is definitely for me. I agree that slander and libel does not cover it well, but it puts pressure on them to not lie and to not mess up. It puts pressure on them to have integrity.
How do you apply slander and libel to like pictures though?
No, well, what I'm saying is when they get something wrong or when they start using conjecture, we hold their feet to the fire. So it prevents them from just taking a picture and then saying, well, this picture clearly means something's going on when they're just like jumping to the conclusion everyone wants to hear.
But they don't have to say that. They can just kind of imply it, like,
yeah, but at least they're less able to use conjecture than before. That's the point.
That doesn't really affect it, really.
Yeah,
you could just kind of say like, hey, these two people are hanging out together, and then just say that, and just be like,
you can say it doesn't, but with the liability to lie versus
they're not lying. Just let me finish. Saying anything. Okay.
No, I agree that you're creating a scenario where that's the case, but I'm saying I want to push them into that corner. It's ideal compared to the scenario where it's not a liability to lie because we're never doing anything about it when they do.
You've effectively done nothing then. Because then
no, I'm saying if we start to enforce these laws, they're going to be less likely to use conjecture because then it will be an actual liability instead of a theoretical one.
But they'll still be there.
I don't know what laws are being enforced.
The rhetoric just changes, right? The rhetoric just changes.
Yeah, I know, but at least the rhetoric is less. At least the rhetoric is less out in the open and literally saying, "Hey, look at these people. They're clearly fucking because we found them at a coffee shop together."
But the outcome is still there.
They're still paparazzi. They're still invading the privacy.
Okay, just because we can't eliminate something doesn't mean we make it easier for the paparazzi to do it.
I'm not saying you're trying to eliminate it, but like
that's the point.
But that's your argument. You're saying, well, it can still happen. I'm not saying we're going to eliminate it entirely. I'm saying we make it more difficult for the people who are harassing these people to harass them. Just because we can't get rid of stalkers. Sorry, just because we can't get rid of stalkers, and that's a very difficult thing, doesn't mean we stop.
No, but dude, do you think that the paparazzi are actually the problem nowadays? Every single person has a cell phone, and every single person is bold enough to go up to anybody nowadays because they think they're important enough to be able to talk to any fucking
I
celebrity.
think the way that we're normalized to these things is the problem. I think the way that we're like distance ourselves from characterizing what's really happening is the issue. But if we can't, just let me finish. Let
her finish, please.
I am aware of the existence of the internet sensationalism. That doesn't mean that I want the paparazzi to exist scot-free. We still need to hold them accountable, and if we can't do that, then I don't want them to be able to run scot-free. I'm going to try to give other people a chance to respond.
Sure. Go ahead, Adam. You can respond. I also do have another topic that we can switch to. So I do have another topic.
Yes. Please, so there's kind of two things here. One is I don't know if we like understand how like slander and libel laws work in the United States. So like in the United States, when you like talk
I
about,
already
like,
said I know. I already said that like I know they have to lie for it to work. So we're beating a dead horse.
Well, no, wait.
We're about to beat a dead horse. I'm just saying.
Still lie and not commit slander or libel. Like technically, like you don't just have. So you can say something that is false, right? And it's not slander or libel unless you published it or like put it out there knowing that it was false.
Okay, that's great. My whole point is that if we at least tried to enforce these, we'd be making the attempt to do that a bigger liability.
Dude, let her finish. Holy shit!
I'm sorry.
Well, she literally interrupted me. Hold on, I was.
No, you're right. You're right. Please go ahead.
You told me to like.
Okay, Adam, please.
Let's just.
So, but the problem is, whenever you like strengthen slander or libel laws, it's not that like we don't enforce them. We do try to enforce them, but it's really, really hard the way they're written. But if you try to write them in a more strict way, you run into conflicts with taking away the freedom of speech from people. It's not like a simple, we just strengthen slander and libel laws and like it goes away.
That's what's fantastic is that we can make laws that are tailored towards journalistic institutions.
Right,
so that way they have to be held to a journalistic standard.
Now you and Trump have that in common.
But like,
I'm not. This is not an anti-media take. Holy fuck.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be a good place to.
That might be a real good opportunity.
I did not realize this is going to get that.
Good God Almighty, man.
Okay.
Well, I
but
mean,
fair enough. No, just leave it. Just leave. Just leave. Oh, hey everyone, please go. Stop. Thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah, just surprising how that went. Still, I thank you all for being here and participating. All right, so Dr. Seuss. I think you all aware that Dr. Seuss, his books have been or 6 of his books by the estate that owns it, right? That owns the collection. 6 of his books. They've discontinued the publishing, right? Because they found them to have like very negative racial stereotypes within them, right? And these aren't very popular books. Hold on, I have the list right in front of me. The books.
Yeah, can you send me the list actually?
No, I just have it on my phone. But it's the name of the books are And to think that I saw it on Mulberry Street. That's one. If I ran the zoo. That's two. Mick Elligott's pool. That's three. 4 on Beyond a Zebra. That's 4. Yes, 4. Scrambled Egg Super. That's 5. And then the last one, The Cat's Quizzer. I've never heard of any of these. But apparently, Dr. Seuss has a whole bunch of books that, like, I think most people have not actually read. But these 6 have been seen to have like really hurtful stereotypes, and so the company is not going to publish them anymore. Right now on Amazon, the ones that you do know of are actually number 1. So at the top of Amazon's U.S. bookstore list is The Cat in the Hat, and then followed by like One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, Green Eggs and Ham. Like all of them are at the very top of the list now, because people feel like, oh well, it's being these things are being taken away. I think some people misunderstand what's happening. Like it was just those random books that are being not published, and now all of a sudden people are just buying the ones they do know of. So whatever, right? But I guess the question is, should we be banning or removing books that have had these controversial past, right? Should we instead like for instance, like there are other like classic novels, right, that have like hurtful stuff in them, like Huckleberry like Finn, I think, is one example of this, right?
Little
like,
Black
Mockingbird.
Yeah, sure, exactly. So the point is, should we keep these books in schools? Should we still be like, you know, reading them to our kids, or should we say like this is like from a past that we're trying to get away from, that keeping them around? Like there are other great books, right? There are other great books, so why do we have to even bother with these great books? So let's go to you, Chris, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, when you say should we, do you mean like us as society or like the businesses? Because with the Dr. Seuss books, I'm pretty sure it's just the business saying, "Hey, we don't want to sell these anymore."
It's a business. I'm using that as a jumping off point. Like, but like, should they have even bothered doing that? Should they have? We can talk about that as well. Should they have kept them in print?
Yeah, if it's the business, like they have the right to do whatever they want with their own books, right?
Okay.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, for society, what do you think?
I mean,
Each person has a right to read it or not read it if they want, and if a whole bunch of people decide they don't want to do it, then that's okay.
Well, like, I don't know about the Dr. Seuss books, but I grew up with like my mom used to read me a book called Little Black Sambo. I don't know if anybody
That
ever
book is racist as fuck.
I know,
Yeah,
I
know that
know.
book.
I know. Well, I didn't think of it that way, right? Like as a kid, I just thought it was cool. Like it, you know, he ran around the tree, made pancakes out of the tiger, or whatever the fuck. I don't remember exactly how it went, but yeah, I definitely think we should. Like, why even have that? Like, why? What's the point? There's way better books. There's I forget the one with like the snakes in the tree. I had a bunch of like little books. You know, there's the cow jumped over the moon, whatever. Like, you know, I mean, there's a bunch of Good Night Moon, The Hungry Caterpillar. There's a bunch of ones that have no racial undertones at all. So like, what's the point in even putting it out there?
There can be a lot of like, those really good reasons that we like talk about kind of stuff like this. So instead of like just like not reading them, we could read them in a different context. So instead of trying to get like some moral truth from books, a lot of times they have like a point to them. What we can do is we can talk about the issues and use the books as conduits to do so.
Go ahead.
So to be clear,
Eagle Eye. Hold on, Eagle Eye. I want to let Eagle Eye in. Go ahead.
So to be fair, there's a big difference between books like Huckleberry Finn and Little Black Sambo. Little Black Sambo is very clearly just like a racist book, whereas you can read a lot more into like Huckleberry Finn and the tone of the time. There are more things that you can glean from that book than you could from something like Little Black Sambo. So I think that's just like an important thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think it depends on whether the actual message of the book is the racism or whether the racism is an after effect of the time and it's just something that happens to be included. Because obviously, like, I don't think the main.
Okay, I have a quick
I don't think
point.
anyone would say the main point of Huckleberry Finn, the message the author was trying to get across, was racism.
Let's go to Sam, Joe, and then Cutsleeve.
So
kind of the opposite message, actually.
Some of the things that I think are important to talk about is that, like, Dr. Seuss are children's books, right? So these are a time in which we believe that the environment affects their growing process. So having these implicit images that are racist or whatever may affect them in ways that we don't think about, right? That we're not thinking about. So I think that while it's good that we know that we can have an acceptable way of consuming this media where we can critique it, where these like kindergartens or school, like elementary schools are removing them from their children's libraries, I think that's completely fine. I don't think that like removing them from like the access of kids who are impressionable is like a problem.
Yeah.
What are we even talking about? Like,
I think the only issue I would
You
have
know,
is
everyone
if
can
we're
kinda
talking
do what they
about
want,
removing them
right?
from society in general, like because banning books
Who does the
is
removing?
and
The government,
well,
like
The school
board?
School,
Yeah, the
you
school
can
board.
just-
Yeah,
we
I
have
mean,
we have an
yeah.
order of which we can do this.
Sure,
Yeah,
the
there's like
school board is elected by the people, so you know,
Oh,
if the
jeez.
people
Dude,
want to
you can
remove
you
it,
can
we
read it
remove
in
it.
your
It's like the
house, but
statute.
you don't have to have it on the damn
Listen, man,
bookshelf.
we have Mein Kampf not because we like reading it, but because
Yes,
it's
but
a
what I'm
study. It's a study on what the enemy thinks.
Sam.
okay, but what I'm saying,
Mein Kampf was never in any of
Sam,
my.
okay.
Sam,
True.
hold on. One at a time, guys. Sam the human, finish your point.
So what I'm trying to say here is that there's a time and place to read Mein Kampf. You don't want like a certain group of people reading it when they're impressionable, right? That's the difference. Well, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I don't know why you're like arguing it. Like if you agree with
I'm
that,
not
then...
disagreeing. No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I was just making the. Okay, I apologize. Go ahead.
I mean, weird question. Do you think that like the only consumption of books should be like in a responsible way? So let's say I'm a literal Nazi. Obviously I'm not, but let's say I'm a literal Nazi, like a neo-Nazi, and I want to read Mein Kampf in the private of my own home and like be a racist person. Should we legislate against that?
So I would probably say that in general, we want to create systems in our society that minimize behaviors that we don't like by force of some way, so that if we don't want people to be racist, we shouldn't have media and that's not consumed in a safe way by force. What people do in private, I can't really dictate or legislate in that way, so I can't really speak on that. But again, I'm talking about in our systems that we provide for our society.
I tend to agree with Adam that like we should talk about these sort of things.
Should have those.
We should talk about these things as like an ought statement, not like as much of an is thing. And like as far as like ought goes, I don't believe corporations should be considered people, so I don't think they should have the same unalienable rights under the law as people do necessarily. So yes, I do think it's fine if the government goes after businesses that post things that are demonstrably toxic to society. We live in a post-racism society. We're not questioning racism anymore. We're not debating whether or not the ideas are valid. We're trying to get the point across that this is not something that has a place. And so what really matters is do these things depict racism accurately? And like Salty was saying, is the point of the story about racism, or is racism just like something on the back burner?
Well, like you could say that, but like there are lots of like tools we use to teach children that like depict things in really harmful ways. Or like there's a lot of like we can look at depictions of racism where they depict it inaccurately and point out that hey, sometimes racism is depicted inaccurately. Like this is something.
But this isn't something we do with third graders. This is something we do with like
what are you talking
people in grade 10.
Why can't we do it with
Mr.
third grade?
Because of the development of the forebrain. Because of the development of the forebrain.
You can teach a
ability
child
to
at a very,
differentiate
very, very young age that like we shouldn't like change.
But we don't need to do this. We can do this
wait,
later on.
We absolutely need to do this. Like to teach a child,
to teach them that racism is wrong. I agree. We don't need to teach them how racism is misrepresented in the media. These are two different things, and I think that is something that's better suited for somebody who has a developed prefrontal cortex. Because one thing is
kids are smarter than you think they are.
Yeah,
no, I'm not discounting.
You're basically saying that
but
like,
kids are also
one at a time. Hey, everyone! You want to hear from Nine Tails? I want to hear from Nine Tails too, because I like Nine Tails. But it has to be one at a time. If you're all attacking her at once, she can't respond to all of you at once. Okay, so one at a time. Nine Tails, respond to whatever you want. We do have to continue on with the list with like Joe and Cutsley.
Yeah, I'll make my final statement. Kids may be potentially intelligent. That's a potential. They are demonstrably impressionable because of their undeveloped prefrontal cortex. So therefore, their ability to differentiate what's true from false based on inductive reasoning is not nearly as reliable for them as it would be in an adult. This is why teenagers are the way that they are. So, for one thing, we can't rely on children and immature people to say reels over feels kind of thing. They're inclined to do feels over reels, and so we don't want to potentially give them something that might aid a prejudice. We want to demonstrate early on that this is wrong, and then when we talk about how things are misrepresented in the media, that's something for somebody who has better skills of differentiation.
But I reject the idea that kids can't
pause. We got to let some other people in. But we'll get back to you. Let's go to Joe and then Cut Sleeve.
All right. Well, I do have a related bit of defense of actually Huckleberry Finn specifically, and I think I wrote actually a fucking killer essay.
I don't think anybody
about
disagrees with you.
No. This is kind of specific. I wrote, I think, that essentially that fellow Jim was like morally the best character in that story, like hands down. I made a real solid argument about it, and I also made kind of an argument that Huckleberry was a bit of an asshole, and he was an asshole to Jim in general, and Jim was like the only positive adult influence in the book. So I think there's some books like that were actually kind of in the reverse, trying to make a progressive statement and kind of get away with it under this cartoonish kind of performative racism of just calling him the N-word constantly.
Yeah, they didn't call him fellow Jim. They called him definitely something else. That's a big impact.
But then there's also a point I want to make about the Dr. Seuss books, and that's largely that. Well, I haven't looked at them, but I'm guessing it's pretty obviously meant to just enforce these racial stereotypes to impressionable kids. That sounds like the deal to me. And I'm pretty sure Dr. Seuss recanted those books essentially later in life and made really very, very clearly pro-minority, I guess, books.
Yeah, he had a lot of political comics. A lot of political comics about like black
What is the
people
side
being
that we're
oppressed.
fighting against? Like, what are we even arguing
I
against?
thought we moved kind of
That's
away
what I'm
from
saying.
Dr.
Is
Seuss and
once
we're on
again, I
like.
think we're all on the same side.
Again, once again,
away from Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, I think we're okay with the. I think we didn't quite figure out whether the books should be like banned.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like in terms of again, like a school or your local library, should they be having these things in chat? So let's go to Cut Sleeve. He's been waiting very patiently. Then I guess back to Ninetales, and then Adam.
Okay, so if any of you guys try to interrupt me, I don't know if it's a curse or a blessing, but I can't hear some fraction of you guys, so I'm just gonna wait for the stream to catch up. So if there's a delay, that's why. But I do have a couple of points to note down. So there are like a couple of questions here, that I would just need solving in my own mental thing. But are there? So I've listed down a number of points, so I'm just gonna go on a little bit of a spiel. So are there no other racial undertones? Like, is it okay to ban a book because of its racial undertones? Well, essentially no, because every cartoon character of like a different ethnicity that isn't like the standard white person is kind of like a cartoonified version. For example, the Brave character, they even made a joke about this in like Wreck-It Ralph, like the Brave character who like speaks Island. I forgot her name. But yeah, it's essentially the character in Pixar Brave. That's kind of like a characterization of like Irish people, I think. I think it's Irish. But Mulan is kind of a characterization of like a Hawaiian person. And yeah, like we can see this all the time where it's like many cartoon characters, not just like Dr. Seuss books. Like essentially a cartoon character is like a characterization of something. So I don't necessarily think that's
Do you mean caricature?
Caricature, yeah. So I don't necessarily think that that's problematic. But on to the second thing. Is a problematic book a cancelable book? Well, of course not, because we still have books like Tom Sawyer. We still have books like Mein Kampf that are like problematic, but still here. So the next point is like, this book is targeted towards kids. So there's a different kind of like problematic undertone towards it. But I don't even think this necessarily holds up because I don't necessarily know if anyone cares about kids. I know as a kid, I know this for a fact that like most of you guys have seen.
Fuck them kids.
I know for a fact that most of you guys have seen like American Dad. I know for a fact, and they have racial undertones. They're masked off about it. They literally just like have like racist characters, and especially in The Simpsons. What's the mayor's name with the big nose? Like that's obviously a Jewish character. But I don't think like kids are equipped to know that and like to get like the racial insensitivity of it.
Yeah, that's
so,
not that's not a Simpsons. That's not a.
He's JFK.
Yeah, he's JFK.
It's also like completely based in satire. Like the undertones of it are completely satirical. So it's really, as far as like comparing that to like Huckleberry Finn or something, where they're literally calling fellow Jim, quotations. It's different.
Well, cut C, finish your point, because we did interrupt you. Finish your point, and then we'll move on.
Okay, so the thing about it is like, so yeah, I know we don't like suddenly care about kids all of a sudden because like a lot of us watch Family Guy and a lot of us watch American Dad, and like being like I guess the most right-wing person on the group, I have to say it does just feel like leftist media trying to like co-opt the narrative and just like trying to like cancel people, like further cancel culture, because like I don't see. And then on a new point, because someone brought up like it's satirical, I guess I wouldn't necessarily call this a good point either, because for me personally, as a kid, and tell me if I'm wrong, as a kid, if something was subtle, I just completely miss it. But if it was satirical and it made other people feel good, I might try to replicate that. So I think it's even worse if it's like satirical, because kids might try to reincarnate this. This happens all the time. So if it's satirical, then that makes it even worse because kids are more influenced by that. So yeah, these like 3-4 points I would need to be convinced of to like actually warrant the ban. Oh, there's one more point. I'm sorry, Prime. There's one more point.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you have the moral obligation to like ban books or like ban kids' books or like dictate how parenting is? And I don't even see this as a point because I don't think the government has a right, or like whatever public institution has a right to ban books and basically try to dictate how I parent my kid.
Okay, so we're gonna go to Nine Tails, Adam, and then Sam, Sam the Human. But to your point, Cut Sleeve. To your point, I think a better example from The Simpsons would have been Apu, right? Apu, the store clerk. You hear from people of South Asian descent that people did imitate Apu. They did make fun of him, right? Of them, right? People thought like, oh, they would call kids who were South Asian Apu, and they would make the accent and all of that. So like, I think to your point of like, if it's satirical, if that might influence kids more, that might be the case there. I don't know. But Nine Tails, Adam, Sam the Human, and then Joe as well, if you want.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just because you put the question out there one more time and I did fail to answer it originally, I think it's only terrible if we ban these things because they are corporations. If it's absolutely necessary that they publish them in order for us to be able to talk about them, we don't need them to publish these things anymore for us to talk about them. We have the internet, we have imaging technology. We can redistribute these things without the need of the printing press or companies to profit from its publication. On the other hand, as far as schools and teaching it and it being in libraries, I think children see educational institutions as endorsements. So unless you're particularly framing this as like this is Black History Month and here's how Black people have been poorly represented, like they do in museums, keyword museums, then I'd agree with it. But any other form, I think, is a tacit endorsement.
Okay, let's go to Adam, and then Sam the Human, then Joe.
So something I don't like the idea of is that like, and maybe this is like really extreme or something, but like the idea that we need to like hide like the realities of the world from like small children until they're old enough to understand. I think this never turns out well. Like the idea, like should we like then like a lot of like things that reinforce like stereotypes are like depicting minorities in bad ways or stereotypical ways. Should we just like ban children from seeing any like stereotypical like version of like a minority? Like should Black people never be allowed allowed to be criminals in media until you're like old enough to quote unquote understand things. Well, what ends up happening is these kids like find out about things in very, very irresponsible ways, and it can like create people to be even more like what's the word, like against the minorities and stuff like that in a lot of cases. So like if like you always like see black people as like these like, oh, we're gonna show, I'm using black people because I'm African American, it's a very easy like experience for me to draw off of. But like if we say, oh, we're only ever going to show black people as good, and then like you go out into the world and like, and like your buddy's like, hey, did you realize that like you see all these like black people, you know, they're all criminals, right? And then like they never had like they were talked to about this kind of thing in a responsible way, and they just kind of run with like whatever the first thing they hear is, and it's like it can be really bad. So I think that we should like leave these things in libraries, and like if a kid comes across something like this, we should talk about it to them in a responsible way, not just like hide everything from like children because they can't understand the world, because children are really fucking smart.
I have to point out that nobody said anything about painting all black people in a good light. Like that's a totally different thing. It's and
I mean, but that's like the logical end to the conclusion almost.
No, it's not.
Because when we're talking about like stereotypical,
it's really not. Discussing racism is not painting the, like you're not hiding the fact that black people can be bad. You're hiding the prejudice slander against them.
Don't do that.
You're hiding the prejudice slander against them. Anyways, as far as like the purpose of this is to guide them in the right direction. We're trying to not guide them in the wrong direction. These things cannot be done at the same time, and so we're getting rid of the things that are detrimental to the ability to positively guide children in the right direction that will prepare them for a post-racist society.
Okay, Joe, and then Sam the Human.
Well, just a little bit ago, actually, Prime brought up Apu from The Simpsons, which I think is actually a really interesting example, and I personally kind of relate to it because really what perfectly illustrates how some of these satirical stereotypes can play out is the fact that I and my brothers liked to try to do Apu impressions at each other to see who could get it. Like when we were like 10 or so years old, and it took a lot of effort for my mom to get us to understand what's wrong with doing that. And that, I think that can kind of show how like if something makes you laugh, it can actually have a really profound influence on you without you even realizing.
Sam?
Yeah, so I want to talk about to Adam about this because I think one of the things is that my prescription isn't that we should just remove these books, right? But like schools were removing these Dr. Seuss books when they had them from their free learning library, right? Their free reading library. So when kids have like a period of time to read in the day, just to like get them reading, to stimulate their ability to read, they remove these choices from them in an environment where they're not being overseen and being able to be told directly why these images are bad, right? I'm not saying that we have to remove them from all contexts. And even a kid at that age could probably understand that if you're giving them direction and leading them that way. I do believe that children are smart enough, but they cannot. I don't know if children by themselves can explore that without some oversight from somebody, right? Like I think those images are impressionable enough where if you don't have someone explaining why they're bad or trying to have that conversation with them, that could lead to negative effects. So we need to be aware of the ways that we are using these books. So to just say that we could just like leave them in the way that we've been using them in currently is wrong. Like Mulberry Street is a book that I read when I grew up, but I have a copy in my house, and like I understand that the images are bad, but that doesn't mean like it didn't have an effect that maybe I had to get over in the later time, because not having that guidance with that imagery can cause those problems as well.
I think then like one of the things we're kind of talking about is like not necessarily removing these books, because like maybe for like more obscure books, like these aren't something that kids will come across, and getting them out of libraries will just stop kids from coming across them. But like we literally have like the internet. Kids can find whatever they want. And So instead of, and so maybe you could say we get them out of schools, but then maybe the kid finds it at his public library, right? Or maybe it's out of the public library, but then the kid can find something online. And like maybe for books, it's like, oh, well, the kid's never going to find that. But like if we talk about other forms of media, like TV or something like that, it's very like reasonable that a kid could find something like that. So I think we should be more aware and hands-on with the way, like with what our kids are consuming and what
Of
they're
course.
like using, rather than
They should-
and like be able to like say, hey, I know you're reading this, so let's have this conversation, rather than like let's just like put this out of the way, and like let the, and like when the kid's older, then we'll come to it. This is why like
Again,
a lot
I'm
of
saying
like
when
people have like a lot of kids have like irresponsible exposures to things like sex and like
yeah, you don't
consent
have
and
to
stuff like that.
you don't have to wait till they're older. You just have to do it in a different time, like a different space, right? It shouldn't be read during the time that's just to engage with reading, right? Like the teacher gives them a 30-minute time period to just read books, right? I mean, I had that when I was a kid. I don't know if anybody else did, where we were just told, here's our class's library, go read a book, go sit down and read, right? Like we didn't have, it wasn't like guided reading where we're like going over anything, like we're not being taught anything, we're just reading. That's what I'm saying. Those time periods are not where that's not where those books should be read.
One of my points is that like, so like if a kid's checking a book out of a library, like this is an extremely good way to gauge like what kids are interested in, what they're looking at, and talk to them about stuff. Because we literally have a record of like the book that this kid is taking out of a school library. Whereas like if a kid goes online, it might, and like you're not like a really hands-on parent, it might be very, very, very difficult to find if a kid finds this kind of stuff and make sure they have these conversations.
So let's go to Casino, who's been trying to get in, and then we'll go to Chris, and then our good friend 6 Foot Ann is here. Oh, 6 Foot Ann, we love her so much. But quickly though, to Adam. Well, you brought up sex, right, in the internet, right? I think to a Ninetales' previous point, and I thought she was making a pretty fair point. Kids, may not be able to understand things fully, right? So I think maybe you and her aren't too far away, because if you can understand that sex is something, we don't want them to discover these things on the internet. Like, well, I did. You don't want kids to discover these things on the internet. Instead, we want to have like sex education, right? So that we can introduce these topics to them in a responsible manner, right? I think what Ninetales was saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ninetales, but I think what you were saying is that in terms of these racist books, these books are the race porn, right? And that simply letting them read them, like
that's not my personal claim.
Oh, is it? Yeah, no, sure. But they're obviously like harmful material, right? And so she's saying like we can talk about these things again. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that we can talk about these things, but in a more controlled environment, rather than like simply saying, oh yeah, you read this, and then maybe we'll talk about it later, right? I think is that what you're saying, Ninetales?
That's definitely it. I just want to point out, like, I was introduced to sex ed too early. So I was actually introduced to a controlled environment, but it's too early. That made me very like curious about things. And then I explored things that like I was way too young to understand. And that put me in a lot of positions that I like actual situations that I was too young to understand. So I think we do have to examine, like, yes, there is a time and place for this. There's a reason that we teach literal literacy versus satire afterwards, or like, more complex things with more complex themes.
I don't. Sorry, I don't.
I want to put. Do you guys think it's okay to like ban problematic video games?
Oh my!
Like you're saying,
who does the banning? Who's the banner?
Ban like Mortal Kombat or something like that?
Yeah, that's just that was the big one way back. And go ahead, Casino.
For a certain age, maybe.
Doom again.
No, they just banned it.
No, they didn't they didn't actually ban Mortal Kombat though. But I mean, maybe in some countries.
No, I was responding to Cut Sleeve to say that we should do it for certain ages.
Everybody was freaking out about, right?
So
Casino, go ahead.
There's well, the Dr. Seuss stuff I don't really care about, but the video game stuff I'm actually kind of interested in. There's literally no reason to ban games. We have the ESRB for a reason. If your kid is playing games, that's like
no one even thinks like no one.
No, wait, let me finish. It's only highly ineffective because people don't parent their fucking kids. Okay, the only reason, like literally, if you try to buy a game from like GameStop, that's like M-rated and you're too young to buy it, you literally can't buy it. We can't sell it to you.
What
It's
about
legal
the online
to do
purchases,
that.
like the
So,
digital purchases?
but okay, hold on. But wait, hold on. Okay, what if your kid buys it online? Why the fuck does your kid have a access to a debit card in the first
Well,
place?
like my
What
little brother,
about
for
free indie
instance,
games?
like my parents don't want to have to keep inputting their debit card on the. You put the debit, like you're on PlayStation or Xbox, you have the debit card logged in.
There's parental controls for all of
Probably
this.
bad
Literally, look,
parenting.
Yeah, but you can. All you have to do is figure out the
no
password.
matter what argument you make, literally the only reason your kid was able to buy or like get access to the game was because of your laziness.
Wait.
As a parent.
So
Unironically.
what about kids who
There's-
go to friends' houses or have like older siblings
kids
and
are
like
pretty
access things
crafty,
in that
man.
way? Like not to say that they're crafty, but like they might be exposed to these things in other ways. For example, like my parents were like a little bit more strict than a lot of parents on like letting us play M-rated games. I don't think I was allowed to play till 14, but I had a friend who played a lot of M-rated games at like 7 or 8. And whenever I went to his house, like you can't like my parents couldn't be like, oh, they have the same. They just assumed that their kids didn't like that, and I got to play all the M-rated games at my friend's house.
We all had
Well,
that one
that's
friend.
that parent. Well, that's what communication between parents is for, right? Like, oh, like this is why before you send your kid to somebody else's house, maybe you should like discuss like, oh, I have these rules for my kid. If your kid plays those kind of games, can you like not like let my kid play them? Like this, it's literally just being a parent and like talking to other parents before you allow them in somebody
You
else's
have to
house. What the
understand,
fuck?
parents have their own lives too going on. Like my little brother, when I say crafty, like he got the password for a regular game, and then they just didn't realize that he would have the password forever, and just downloaded whatever the hell he wanted. Like he has Mortal Kombat, he has GTA and shit, and he's like 12, dude. He shouldn't be like killing grandmothers and shit. Like I don't fuck with that. Stupid as hell.
Yes, that's right. You only can only when you're 18. Only when you're 18 should you be allowed to murder grandmas. That's the story of
It's
here. Let's go,
yes, only older people should be allowed.
So,
Yes.
okay, let's go to Chris, who's been waiting quite patiently, and then we'll go to our friend Six Fanat.
Yeah, I think we're thinking about the ESRB in like the wrong way. It's just an advisory thing. That's all it is. It doesn't like prevent you from playing the game or anything, right? So I remember when I wanted to get GTA 5 when it came out in like 2012 or whatever, I had to like bring my mom to GameStop and they said like, "Hey, this game has strippers and guns and shit. Are you okay with that?" Right? So that's totally fine. Like they let me buy the game when my mom was there. It's an advisory thing. It's not like you can't play this or you shouldn't be playing this type of thing.
I already said that you need your parent to be there. Like
Yeah,
again.
I'm just saying, like, people were thinking of it as like you shouldn't be playing these violent video games because you're underage. Like, no, it's just make sure like your parents understand it, and then it's totally cool.
Yeah, because then they
Well,
can
okay.
talk about
Are we saying that there's no effect on kids seeing like this gratuitous violence or
There's
sex
already
activity?
been studies on this.
I don't think any
There's,
effect has been
like,
demonstrated.
There's
demonstrable effect.
Yeah.
No, there's
Can
basically
we throw some
no
papers in
effect at
here
all.
of all the effects that have happened?
I think the effect is like not that big of a deal, to be honest, right? Isn't that what they found?
So a lot of the effects are correlative and not causational. So there's a lot of effects out there that like a lot of studies will say like children who are generally more violent tend to play more violent video games, but they can't say that like these violent video games make these children more violent or that like violent children like play more violent video games. And this like kind of goes for all sorts of inappropriate.
Incorrect. Then link the study.
That is not
Where's the study?
100% correct. What Adam is saying is 100% correct.
Don't make
Okay, just because correlation isn't causation.
Just make me start Googling now. Wait, so you're gonna
making the claim, right?
out your ass?
No,
What
you're
the fuck?
making the claim. There's no like kids aren't affected.
I'm not making this up out of nowhere.
Guys, don't make me start Googling now.
Let's go to
Don't make me start digging for my fucking source.
You don't really need to dig, man. Kids are malleable. Their brains are sponges. They see something.
Do you have a source for that?
Dude, when I was a kid, I saw Power Rangers. I went to like kindergarten, man, and I was like, I want to fucking flip somebody over my fucking back like a judo artist, and I broke this kid's arm over my shoulder like on accident, not knowing, right? Like I didn't really get in that much trouble because I was a kid,
but like I wanted to copy it because I thought it was cool. So like kids are very malleable. They're sponges. They see something, they want to fucking do it or copy it. It's just how
I
it
think
is.
your parents should
So,
raise
but
you.
That's
what the
you though.
research says
You are
is
not a
that they don't.
representation of everybody
They
else.
probably did.
You were just a dumb
I
kid
know
at
like
that
a
point.
40-year-old guy
I'm
who
not
like
saying that I
in
am
the
at
middle of
all.
the
One at a
road.
time. Too many.
Ultimately blame
Too many.
Oof.
All right. So
Wait,
let's
but what the
go ahead.
sorry. But what the research says is it's not necessarily like if you are a person who watches Power Rangers and likes the judo flip kids, it's not necessarily because you watch Power Rangers that you like the judo flip kids. It might be that you already like judo flipping kids, and then you see it in Power Rangers, and Power Rangers gives you new techniques and ways on how to do it.
You were actually in the closet about being a judo flipper. Obviously. Let's go to
judo flipper. Okay.
let's go to our friend 6 foot. Let's go to our good friend 6 foot Ant. 6 foot Ant, who's amazing, and I love her. She's amazing. She's a fantastic artist, and you should go check out her Twitter and see her great art and appreciate her. So we'll do 6 foot Ant, and then we'll go to Ninetales.
Look, I wish I had something smart to say about video game violence. I don't know what the state of do any of you guys, have you looked it up? Like what the actual state of research is on that?
Oh my god! Yeah. Everyone in this chat has looked it up.
Yes.
Right now.
We've only just started Googling just now.
Yeah,
is it real? I don't know.
I googled this a long time ago, back when I was trying to defend how to say the F slur on the internet, so I know how to research.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I guess if you can prove that there is some incredibly negative effect on kids, we would probably want to do something about it. But I don't know if it's going to be extreme enough that we have surely if it was so extreme that we have society's collapsing, would have seen it by now, right? So.
And if there was a whole bunch of research on it, you'd have soccer moms screaming it from the tops of the roofs, right?
True.
It would have been done in the 80s. It would already be
research. Oh my god.
So you actually do need me to go grab this. Okay.
Yeah.
I want
you to Google it, dude.
I want to see it.
If you're right, there would be a lot of.
Okay, listen. Hey, real quick. It's just a study on aggression in kids who play video games.
Oh god.
In their
okay,
level
is
of
it correlative or
That's
causative?
literally what the study is.
Okay, but you don't need things.
it
Okay, here's the
correlative
thing:
or
is you're
causative?
using correlation as a fallacy here.
It's literally the whole thing is based around. The whole thing is based around the video game. It's the whole point of
Based
this
around the video game.
Okay, let's address this correlation fallacy that we're doing here, because something can be correlative but also be causative without it being evident that it's causative. Just because something's correlative doesn't mean it's not causative. So
but you can't go when you use research, you can't make.
But sometimes you have to. You even pointed out that it'll only ever be. Yes, you do. This is what the soft sciences do. Because you have to. You can't read people's minds. You can't. So you have to interpolate data and interpret it.
You can't do experiments on people's kids. Obviously, you can't be we're forcing these kids to play video games 12 hours a day, and these kids don't get to play any. That's not possible. So you have to do these.
And I really want to finish my point here because it's very key. It's very key. Please let me finish. Come on.
Video games cause kids to
come on. Can you
just? And if there's not evidence, then why would we believe it?
Don't worry, I'm gonna have to meet someone. Just for a second. So, Ninetales, can I keep going? So, Ninetales, please keep going.
Okay, and I actually wanted to address Chris, I think, in something they said too. So I really don't want to draw this out. So yeah, going with what Adam was saying, he said before that we can't actually demonstrate causation. I would agree. This is something that's beyond our scope of reasoning within the scientific community. We may never be able to prove this. I hope someday we can. But here's the thing. I think we should only say that we need an extreme threshold if we can prove that there isn't if we can prove that there isn't a lot of harm done. So the burden is on the people who are claiming that there isn't a lot of harm done to prove it. Because even if we don't know how much harm is being done, that doesn't mean we suddenly be oh, okay, I guess we need to suddenly care a whole fucking lot about corporations and their freedoms and their liberties compared to the fact that there's reasons that we keep sex from certain aspects of sex from kids until they're 18. We already do this, so there's already evidence that this has a purpose in society and with and correlates with the development and the raising of a functioning decent child in society.
Okay. All right. Moving on. We'll go to Actually, I'm not. Did I have someone else in line? Oh, cut sleeve. I cut sleeve in line. And I'll unmute you, debate lord, as well. But cut sleeve, go ahead.
Okay, I think it's funny because I'm the one who like started the video game conversation. When we talk about video games with kids, it's all, oh, it's not extreme enough. Even when we have data to correlate, there is no data that these Dr. Seuss books like actually harm kids in that way. But oh, we're quick to ban them. And you're gonna say it's not like the liberal media trying to control the narrative. But when I bring up video games,
Oh,
which is
fuck
the
this
exact same
liberal
thing,
media
and
bullshit.
no. Wait, hold up. Let me finish. I know, like, from my personal experience, people get way more violent playing video games. Like, people like throw controllers, break TVs. Who's gotten violent reading a book? Who's like, oh my gosh, freaking Harry Potter died, and just like
I've thrown a book before.
Wait,
I realize it's
the idea is that like the non-violent kids are probably not going to go read books. They're going to go play the video games.
Are you claiming?
Yeah, you don't know. Some people might have been really affected by that death.
True. Okay, but so like what I'm saying is like when we talk about video games, we want to be all nuanced. But when we talk about books, it's just this might have some racial undertones that some kids might like catch on subliminally and carry out through their adulthood. I think
because you don't need data to recognize prejudice.
Oh wait, no, I think
I'm going to say it's not undertones. Okay,
Wait,
sorry, just
oh,
quickly.
wait,
This
can
is
I
like
finish?
explicit racial caricatures.
Wait, can I
Just
finish?
keep going though.
No,
Yeah,
but
sorry, keep going.
there are explicit racial characters in video games too. But we wouldn't even in a million years try to ban video games. Why
I would
we
ban
trying to
those
ban
ones.
books?
Nobody's trying to ban the books. Wait, hold on.
race? I
Nobody's
wanna know
banning
the
the
racist
books
video
either.
game you're talking
Australia
about.
likes to ban video games. They're actually real big
Wait,
fans of it.
Hold on, real quick.
I don't think anybody on this.
Nanny State for the
Listen,
win.
I don't
Real
think.
quick.
I don't think anybody on this
Yeah.
panel was suggesting that we ban those books.
Yeah, nobody was trying to
Wait,
ban the fucking
okay,
Dr.
is
Seuss
ban
books.
them.
Dr. Seuss publishing
Just take them
not
out of
being
library.
So to make it clear, and I said it at the top, right? What's happening is that there is a company that's has in charge of the estate of Dr. Seuss, right? That publishes the books. That the estate of Dr. Seuss has decided on their own to stop publishing those 6 specific books, right? They are not banned. Though I think there might be a school district that decided to specifically ban them. I think there's like one school district that actually did do that. But other than that, there's just not publishing anymore. You can still find copies. They're out there, right? You can still find them.
But they're like $1,500. Why would they be $1,500 if they're widely available?
Because they're not popular.
I guess people are panicking or something.
Yeah,
people
there's
think they
shitloads
go
of
and buy
them.
GameStop and then like
the
they'll
price
make
is going to go
financial
up.
decisions.
After a story like this, the price is definitely going to skyrocket for those, especially since they
For a
weren't
little
popular
bit.
to begin with.
So wait, can we
It's
think
gonna go
that maybe
back down.
the Dr. Seuss companies, this is like a marketing ploy? They're like, these books aren't fucking selling. Let's make them racist. Let's ban them. Fucking sell them for 50.
So hold on,
They're not
making
real
money
quick.
from that.
Market
It was
manipulation.
a joke. It was a joke.
Real
I'm
quick,
saying
so
there's just a double standard here.
Casino.
It's
Go ahead.
not okay. So real quick, the reason people are like buying out these books is because they know that there's a set limited supply now, right? So like far in the future, maybe like 20, 30 years, when these things like are probably like more of them are in the trash and like more of them are just lost. Like you can like have this mint edition that might be worth like $10,000 or some shit, right? Like that's why. Like
PSA
it's
10.
Well, the one things like this don't generally appreciate value like that. But two, I think the idea is that one of the things is that it's not that it's the books that are being banned that are very high in value. A lot of books like The Cat in the Hat and like unrelated books that were just Dr. Seuss books were banned because people are misinformed and think that Dr. Seuss books are banned and they're buying like books that aren't actually being like taken out of circulation.
Really? That's great.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I said, like, at the start, like the Cat in the Hat, and then the One Fish, Two Fish, Green Fish, Blue Fish, and the other one, Green Eggs and Hams, are like top 3 on Amazon's book list now. Because people don't understand that Dr. Seuss isn't banned, right? They're just like literally this entire story is blown out of proportion. So they're just buying up those books right now. It's a fucking mess. But anyway, let's go to Ninetales.
Yeah, I was struggling with my recall when I responded to Adam the first time, and I thought of one more thing I wanted to say. Is like people may have like what you said to universities about how they're maybe just predisposed to be violent. Well, that's actually the case for why we get rid of these things. If there are people who you can identify that are predisposed, because then let's say they struggle with self-regulation. Let's say or self-actuation. I'd say, and like their impulse control is really poor, then I don't want them to have to struggle more because we aren't considering like the fact that they exist in society, or we just discount them at our convenience because it doesn't suit our argument. I think it's really important, like to consider that to be an argument against you if there are people with predisposals to these things.
Hey,
Can I respond? Or?
You can respond, Adam. Go ahead, Adam, and then I'm gonna let someone else in.
So it seems to be that a lot of times, like when you look at parenting and stuff, a lot of the most effective ways of like parenting, when you look at it, aren't to like remove violent video games from the kids who are like slightly more predisposed to be violent. A lot of times, the more effective way to do things is to explain to children why they shouldn't be violent, or like what are acceptable ways to be violent, and ways like, for example, taking children and like that.
Yeah, we do agree on this level.
Yeah,
but
you literally said that we should like get rid of these. Is argument we should get rid of these things. When I'm saying that, like, it's generally not effective to get rid of these.
No, I never actually said that. I'm saying that this is a reason that we regulate these things, and we very carefully regulate them according to age and need.
I think
I guess I just don't agree that like it's reasonable that we just like, oh, we took it out of the library, so like kids won't have access to it. The same
I
way
agree the government should
like
regulate
conservatives
taking out
say,
of
oh, we don't show our
libraries.
kids sex, so they're not doing it at like 17. Like this is like
I
the same
agree.
argument that like conservatives make to like
Nobody
that
was
ends
looking
up with
up
like
on
men
Dr.
not
Seuss
understanding consent and raping like women. Like that's like
Why? Here's the thing I do agree
It's
with.
the same
So,
one about
Dude, where are y'all coming from with these so off the record, like these extremes, child porn, raping? Like, dude, we're talking about normal shit here.
It's a hypothetical example, but like
I
this
don't
is
give
the
a shit,
same-
man.
wait,
You don't need to go all the way to the
it's the
extreme.
same type of
Can I
messaging
defend my
when it comes
position
to
at some
parenting
point?
that ends up with stuff like this. So we say things like, "Oh, children, like if we get rid of the video games until they're old enough, they won't play it," and then kids get exposed to this and they have harm done to them. The same way that children, like we say, oh, we don't talk to our kids about sex, as this is what conservative parents do, and then when they're 17 exploring sex and don't
never said
understand
that.
consent, people get like have inappropriate things. It's the same
Okay,
exact line of logic,
I
and
need to be
parents
very
think that, like,
specific
this
about
causes it to
something.
happen.
I'm gonna make
I'm not
some
saying people
real
can't
mad.
own. I need to be very specific. I'm not saying people can't own copies. I'm not saying that like there's criminal charges because someone showed their kid this. What I'm saying is that the government should be able to say, okay, you printing this book is a detriment to society, so you should stop. You're just a corporation. You don't have freedom of speech. This is my position on how that
Why
should
should
be
the
handled.
government dictate
And I
how I
also
treat my
agree.
kids?
Sorry, if I can finish, I agree that curriculum and libraries should be regulated as well, because that seems obvious to me.
Okay.
Okay.
How is
Real
it wrong
quick,
for the
I'm
government
gonna.
to dictate how I treat my kid?
By the way, did that guy ever get
I
that study?
literally
I wanna
said not to. I literally said I don't want that. It's not difficult.
I do. I do.
Okay, well,
Back-
that's yeah.
Wait, who said that they were gonna make all of us mad? I want to hear that. Who said they're
Well,
gonna make
yeah,
all of us mad?
that's me, real quick. Well, not all of us, but some people. Most likely you. The fastest way to find out how smart somebody is whether or not they can engage with hypotheticals. Like if someone gets mad when you like
I'm mad at the hypothetical. I'm just like,
yes,
why?
you get well because that's how hypothetical work, right?
hypothetical. Yeah.
I think he was commenting on the
I've never
let me
ever, and
finish,
people
let
would
me
say this,
finish.
I've never claimed to be smart. So that's
I think he was commenting on the limit.
Well, let
Let me
Casino,
finish.
please. Let Casino finish. Please go ahead to Casino.
The reason why you use extreme hypotheticals is because they're easy to understand and easy to get to, like the exact point of the argument that you're trying to talk about, right? That's why people use extremes. So you shouldn't get mad about it because they're tools to use in an argument.
Oh my God, he wasn't mad. Stop telling him how he felt.
I was just bringing it up. I just don't see the need for like what we're talking about and going all the way to child porn and like raping. It just doesn't.
That's hypothetical. I literally just explained this to you.
Look,
I'm not going to.
You can do it. You can do it. Whatever. But again, I've said multiple times, like I am a fucking himbo. I'm not that smart. I'm not a learner. I come here to learn. I'm not the smartest person.
Casino, why are you so mad right now?
It's all good.
Why are you so
like,
mad,
it's whatever.
Casino, why are you just mad?
I am mad because I hate fucking dumb arguments and dumb people.
But that's not a good
I
reason to
am
be mad. Don't be mad. You don't need to be mad.
You shouldn't be able to, you shouldn't
No,
be able to require somebody to contend with
mad
any
isn't a bad
hypothetical, no
thing.
matter how emotionally
You're
invested
not
they
allowed to be mad about this.
Why not?
Look, it's
Being mad
whatever, man. You can say
Fine.
whatever, dude. I don't care. It's all good.
I'm trolling him, universe.
So I think one of the
Right,
ideas
I know.
is that like when you one of the reasons you use like extreme things like that isn't just because like it's a way to test things, but it's because this isn't necessarily a hypothetical. This is something that actually happens. So when people use like have bad explanations for the things that they believe, you can use those bad explanations to like justify harmful things against groups of people and stuff like that. And so like a lot of times when people use bad explanations, you connect it to something that people know is bad, so that you can say you can't use this like line of argumentation because or else this other thing is true, and then you like give people ammo to hurt lots of people in the world.
Yeah. No, I'm
according
not
to
saying you
Google,
can't use
I-
these extremes. You're more than welcome to. I was just bringing up, I don't know, just
No,
weird.
I wasn't like specifically attacking.
As a dullard,
You're cool with that.
I like only perk up when I hear like this like weird shit. And I'm just like, why? I get your point. I get all the points y'all are making without that. Like that's what I'm saying.
Let's go to Joe and then Chris. And did you want to say something, Debate Lord, afterwards? I just want to make sure. Afterwards.
sure.
Okay, all right. So we'll go to Joe, Chris, Debate Lord.
Okay, it's pretty late where I am, so I think I'm gonna go to bed. Probably after I say this, but what were we just fucking on? I'm so tired.
Stupid
The analogies or
How stupid I am.
That's
what we were just on.
yeah, crazy hypotheticals. It's like this is actually something that's been annoying me more and more, and it's a lot of why I don't fucking watch Destiny anymore. It's because these crazy weird hypotheticals, people go into like rape, child porn, and shit constantly, and it's like most of the times you could bring up like some random ass drug or something that's not gonna like trigger people who've experienced trauma and shit like that. We don't need
don't
to
get me started on
we
trigger
don't need to
warnings.
use that kind of what?
Don't get me started on those. Those are
Are you
really dumb
triggered?
as well. But
No, this guy's just saying
Prime,
that he copied
Prime,
like
you got-
Destiny's opinions, and now he's just gonna stand for them the whole time.
Prime, you gotta check out chat, man.
True.
Buying
I'm not even
somebody's
sure
band.
Who
who's
said that?
talking.
Somebody's
already
going to ban somebody
explained why,
$50. $50 for the night. I say take it. Even if it's me, take that shit.
I don't know if you want to ban someone for it's open. This open panel. So yes, $10 to mute, and then $50 to ban. If that's what you want.
I'm worth $50 all day, baby. Fuck it.
Okay, but I was gonna say thank you, Joe. But anyway, but yeah,
Sub to Prime, give Prime money. Content is content.
that would be great.
Content, yeah.
Yes, let's go to Chris, who had his hand up before, and I wanted someone else. I forget who the other person was. Cut sleeve. Yeah, let's go there.
Oh, I was just hoping that we could get back on topic instead of discussing hypotheticals. But yeah.
Please.
Sorry.
Do you want to say something?
Oh, on the hypotheticals?
Or anything. I don't know. You actually want to say something?
I mean, I guess like hypotheticals are just a quick way to like get an idea across so that everyone can understand. Yeah, that's essentially it.
Okay.
And then like if they work in the extreme, they should work in like a normal case. So that's why it's just way faster just use an extreme hypothetical. So
Okay. Cut sleeve.
Because everybody understands them. Yep.
So essentially, I'm just going to go back to my points. Because I haven't really gotten an answer for this. Why is it okay for like kids to watch like Family Guy, which has like rarely access? Like kids watch Family Guy, kids watch Simpsons, and they don't get like there is no evidence to assume like they get more racist, or like maybe there is, but like no one regulates Family Guy, no one regulates Simpsons. But then we get to like books that are like the least like out of video games. It goes like video games, TV, then books on like things that I think make people more violent. And maybe you guys have like data to like back it up. But I do think it's like in my personal experience. So you guys can tell me if I'm wrong because you guys' personal experience might be different. But for me, it goes like things we see on like TV heavily impact us. Things we see, like things we play, because like video games are interactive, also heavily impact our things. And then things we read, I think that's like 3 levels. And then also it's just not moral for the government to like if you're advocating for some government regulations, like someone in this panel is, I think, I don't know how is it moral for the government to teach how like dictate how I teach my kids how to read, or like teach my
So-
like yeah, like I don't know how if it's moral to like for the government to regulate parenting.
So
just don't
one
need Dr.
one quick
Seuss to
thing,
teach
Family
kids how to
Guy,
read.
Family Guy is regulated. There's multiple one. First of all, I'm pretty sure they can't air before a certain time of night. For one, so which
I'm
like
pretty sure that's true.
yeah, which
I'm choosing to watch Family Guy over Simpsons.
which reduces the likelihood of children to watch them in the first place. And then also I'm pretty sure they have the TVMA rating come up before the show starts, or like in the top right hand corner, so parents can like see that and like possibly stop their kids from
I
watching
mean,
that.
those are like that's cool, but like, all right, sure. I mean, those aren't effective or anything, but
I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
again,
that's the most you can do without like
parental
yeah.
control, right? Like,
I mean, if you want to like put
there's
a
tools for
rating on
this.
like Dr. Seuss, or like have like a page on Dr. Seuss before you read this might have some like racist undertones, and like you put like a stamp on that in like in front of a Dr. Seuss book. That's like a far cry from like distributing, like stopping the distribution of Dr. Seuss books. Like those two, like putting like a rating on like a corner of screen where like most people don't care, or
Again,
that's like different from
the
like
government's not doing this. This was a company deciding on their own to stop doing this. And
I know,
also,
but the solution was giving. Someone on the panel said like government should have like further regulation on this. So I'm like, no, it's not really
I
like,
don't agree with that. I was just
okay, cool. And I don't think like people should like stop the production of something just because like it might have some racial undertones, but like all cartoon characters that aren't like the white heterosexual male are like racial undertones. Like the Brave character, freaking Mulan is a racial undertone of like Hawaiians. Like these are all characters.
Wait, Mulan?
There's
Moana. He means Moana. He means Moana.
And it's also Polynesian.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Yeah,
because this
Moana,
is for
my
me.
Okay, sure.
But Mulan is Mulan is also a caricature. What are you talking about?
Well, isn't there a difference between isn't there a difference between like depicting a culture and then depicting it in a bad light? Because in Disney movies, they don't like negatively depict these.
Disney didn't really.
at least the newer ones don't.
They're not fucking putting like bug teeth and like painted eyes on Mulan.
Okay, but
it's just
I don't see how
I'd really like to jump in.
Yeah, I don't see how Mulan. I'll go to you next, Ninetales. I don't see how Mulan could possibly be a caricature. I mean, like it's a strong woman, like fighting back against gender stereotypes, right? And like making her way in the world. Like that's a very positive one. Like I don't know.
It's historically accurate too.
It doesn't matter if it's positive. Wait. Let me just quick 5 seconds. It doesn't matter if it's positive because Asians still get mad when they're like, oh, they're like the model minority, or like,
but
because
that's not a model minority thing. That's not a model. But Mulan isn't displaying model minority characteristics, though, right? Anyway,
true. Okay, that is true. But just because it's a positive stereotype does not mean it's negative. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So like what? Yeah. I think like one of the things is we're kind of making.
Ninetales was next. Ninetales, please.
Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to how we represent cultures, it's just generally wrong to misrepresent them. So Disney does a lot of misrepresentation, and maybe that might not fit your standard of negative, but that doesn't mean it's not harmful. As far as like banning books and stuff like that goes, I think that there are some things that we just don't need in library shelves to help kids learn to read. Like there isn't like this like necessitation that we teach kids Dr. Seuss to teach them to read. We can find other things. So I don't think it's enough of a detriment to society to like concern ourselves over what getting publishers to stop publishing. Not just controversial. I'm not talking about controversial. This is when I do think, like when we take this step to regulating what people actually do and what schools do and businesses, then we do have to be able to demonstrate the harm. But when we do demonstrate the harm, and I believe we will be able to at least show, I know it's not good enough for you guys, strong correlation with no counter evidence, then there will be reason to do that. I don't think we need to do that about every Dr. Seuss book. We just need to show that the themes themselves have the potential to.
Let's go to Chris, then Adam.
Yeah.
Is there evidence?
This might be a hot take, but like I think at the end of the day, like people just need to stop being shitty parents, right? The government already has like mechanisms to like warn you about like what things have what content. If you want to ignore those, that's on you. I don't think you can really complain that like, oh, my kid saw this thing and I didn't know about it. Like that's on the parents, okay? Right? Violent video games have warnings, TV shows have warnings. Some books may have warnings as well. I mean, they have like genre categories and things like that, but yeah.
But Chris,
So
but Chris,
yeah.
I don't
GTA 5.
Yeah,
Would you say she's a shitty parent?
exactly. And also, when I was like 7 years old, I went to my mom and I was like, "Hey, mom, where did I come from?" And she broke out like a book about like how babies are made, and she explained it to me. She sat down and said, "Hey, so like parents do this, you know, and blah blah blah."
At
And like
7?
she was a nurse. She treated me like I was smart, and she said like, "This is how babies are made. This is the explanation." I think okay. I'm not.
Baby comes out of tummy. Like,
Yeah, I'm not
Sorry, go
smart
on.
enough to like fully understand like the medicine and everything, but I'm smart enough to be like, okay, like these two people do this thing, and then the baby's produced. Like, that's enough, I think, right? Like,
yeah.
And then like as you grow older, you kind of build on that knowledge, right? So like, I don't think you need to like
Doesn't
remove
require
stuff because.
So I'll go to Adam next, but like I think I like the way your mom handled it, Chris. Yeah. Like if I had a kid, I would handle it the same way. 9 times I see your hand. But yeah, I would handle it the same way. But like talking about you were saying that like, well, the government has all these things, right? Or we have all these warnings, right? And if you're being a shitty parent, that should be on you. Well, I agree with you, right? But I reminded what happened with GTA San Andreas and the hot coffee mod, right? Like, if you guys remember this, right? The hot coffee mod, there was a specific scene within GTA San Andreas where like the main character went and had sex with another character, right? Just it's a random character. You have to complete a mission to do it, right? But
well, it was a mini game. The sex was a mini game, but yeah.
But they had to. They decided to cut it out, right? And it wasn't explicit. Like you didn't actually like see it. It was like God of War type sex, you know, right? But if you guys know what I'm talking about, again,
he fucks in those games, bro.
but they cut the content out of the game. You could not access it within the game, right? But there was a mod that made the mission accessible, so you could make it happen, right? So kids downloaded this mod, right? Mod the game, and then did it, and then there was like lawsuits against Rockstar over this. There was this grandma who was like, oh, her son was like damaged by this shit. Like, oh no, what was me for my fucking grandson? And she actually fucking won. When her kid went out of his way, right, to access it, it was cut off. You couldn't access it otherwise. So I thought there was just a whole lot of bullshit around the hot coffee mod. But she won that case.
They also pulled the.
Go ahead.
They also pulled the game off shelves and they made it. They changed the rating from M to adults only to an AO rating. Which, if you know anything about video game ratings, if your game is rated that, it essentially kills any hope of your game ever like making money.
Yeah. Let's go, Adam.
Yeah, oh, this feels a little bit derailing, but I guess my biggest thing when it comes to like, oh, should like libraries like take these books off shelves and like should we get this out of schools and stuff like that? I just generally think, well, like I don't really care if kids read like Dr. Seuss or Huck Finn or anything like that. It's just it seems like a very ineffective way to get around the point of like like parents not teaching their kids like in effective ways and not like engaging with like somewhat controversial or difficult material with children in an acceptable way.
Bro, wait, let me add something to this. Okay, so here's a way.
Yeah, like, I gotta say really quick though, it's not about preventing them from reading it. It's not about preventing them from reading it. It's about controlling when and how they read it.
Okay, but I do think like to like build a bridge and like say like we can connect in some sort of way. I think like the only way like I pay attention to ratings is like what Netflix does. So like in like the top left corner of the screen, you can be like, oh, warning, this has like sexual assault, this has like murder, this has this, and like that's like so effective where it's like, oh, okay, now I know what type of like show this is. And that's like the only time I pay attention. to like actual ratings. So if they had something on like the bottom of a book on Dr. Seuss where it's like, oh, this contains like cartoonist depictions or like a problematic stereotypes, then like I'd be more like willing to be like, okay, like it doesn't harm anyone. You're not regulating any parents. You're not like no like publishers trying to like unilaterally regulate parents. Oh, I would
I mean,
like
it's as
be
simple as
curious
like
to like
they
see what
do
you
it
guys
for
are
music, they
standing
do
at.
it for
Would just like
movies. Why?
giving like Dr. Seuss books a rating, or like just like making ratings for books, like Netflix makes ratings for movies, because those are like highly effective, and I love those. I love those.
I mean, this literally exists on the back of like video game covers. I don't. Well, people don't use these anymore. Back in the day, where you bought like a M-rated X game, on the back of the 360 case, it said this is rated M for like nudity or use of tobacco or suggestive themes. My argument is just more that like these types of things aren't very effective. And like limiting access to things, in the most part, just isn't very effective. And we should spend a lot more of our time instead of like trying to like hide all of this material from our kids, to like instead have conversation with children and like teach them in a
Debate
like,
Lord. Debate Lord. I said you were gonna go in. I completely forgot. I apologize. And then we'll go to 6 foot.
Oh, no worries. I don't know. I feel like this whole conversation is a little weird because like I don't even know what we're really debating at all. Like, we're talking about whether or not these books should be like banned or not, like by the government or what. Like,
I
because
know we've kind of moved on from
the
that,
way
though.
this thing kind of works is like everybody has you can choose to do whatever you want with your kids or whatever, and that can just be your choice. But like, what
We were
are we
having,
talking
I don't know,
about?
dude.
Some sort of legislation?
We've like explained it a few times. We're having a larger conversation beyond like what an individual does, right? We're talking about like schools and what they do, with the local
Well,
libraries.
sure, but a
And
school
then
does what a school board commands it to
and
do,
again,
and they do what individual commands it to do. So it's like it's all
yeah, but lots of people don't. But hold on. Yeah, like
Yeah, we can
then
talk
then
about
there's no point debating anything, right? Well, it's like, well,
if you and a bunch of other people get
you could
together
just
and
say
you want your
that
school board to do something,
you
you can do that.
the president is represented by is voted in by the people, right? And so like just vote in the right person and we're done. Like what? Like, yeah, sure, we have representatives in the school board, but do people pay attention to school boards all the time? Is that a thing? Are people heavily invested within their democracy? They're not. And beyond that, like even if you put them together, like you don't put those representatives like in place in mind, saying like I know how they're going to vote on every particular issue, right? So you can put a representative in place, the one that you wanted, but they might have their own idea. So we're just talking about like what should society do in general. That's the discussion. I don't know why it's so hard.
Society's not like a single
society's,
person.
but yes, society's made of people. I know. Yes, great. Thank you.
Individuals, and it's very.
I know it's made of, like I said, it's
feel
made
like
of people. Amazing.
We're not talking at like, a
Amazing.
sufficient level.
So I thought we were kind of talking about like should like places like schools or libraries like restrict access to these kinds of things for kids, and then like from there you can say like, well, if we all determine that like the access should be restricted, well, you say, well, like if like a kid in like a conservative area, their library decides to do it, and like we say that this is probably a good thing, then maybe a kid in a more liberal area should, or maybe that would be reversed in the case of like racism. But like the idea is that if we think that like if we think like a library should do something like this, then there's probably some argument to be made that like a government should intervene to make this so that all children have the same experience rather than just like depending on where you live, because this is like one of the ways that like we have like class differences and stuff like that in the United States. It's with schools and things.
Let's go to 6 foot ant and then Nine Tails once again.
Hey, really quick, I'm actually gonna dip out of here. I'm about to pass the fuck out.
Yeah.
It was good talking to everybody.
Nice talking to you.
And I will be back for sure. But y'all have a good night.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Later, man.
Later.
6 foot ant, Nine Tails.
Camera. So I was going to say that, like, yeah, I kind of agree that the parents should engage with this material with their kids, and maybe it could be an educational tool, but I think it's also kind of like a Trojan horse kind of thing with the racism, in that it really looks like just a generic kids book. Like, I know the one that my parents actually got, we had one of these. We had the zebra one, and it's like you're just flipping through it. And I remember my mom read this one to me, and she got to like, it's like, oh, a zebra has stripes or something, and then on the next page it's like a racist caricature of a Chinese boy, and it says a Chinese boy eating with sticks. And then she's like, "Oh fuck, I didn't remember this being in here," and she kind of like put it aside. Like I actually remember that happening, so I can totally see parents like not being prepared for this, or maybe it's a niche case where like you can't really like plan ahead, because there's so many of these fucking books as well. Like I don't know, like Dr. Seuss wrote like I don't know, probably like 100. It feels like. So yeah, I also wanted to say that it might be kind of cool for some sort of like media effects unit or something to teach kids about media, because people are saying in the chat, Dr. Seuss actually turned around a lot on sort of discrimination later in his life. He actually, he became really like anti-internment of Japanese people during World War II and stuff. He actually has like a kid's book that's pretty anti-discrimination as well. It's called like The Sneetches, I think. So it might be cool to kind of combine those two things into a unit for kids to learn about, like, here's this thing that this person did. Anyway.
That's a really good
I
idea.
forget, is one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish about inclusion? It's been a long time since I've read
Maybe.
that.
I don't
know.
Just the title, for some reason, strikes me as almost like an inclusive messaging.
I think that's a really, really good idea. Six Foot Ant. That's like I like that idea a lot, actually. Like saying that, okay, people change their minds. People can change, right? So this person, he had some pretty bad ideas, but he grew, right? And you can grow too, right? Like people make mistakes, and yeah, I really like that idea, actually. Ninetales.
Yeah, and it helps that we're not actually going after Dr. Seuss. It's not Dr. Seuss that's canceled. Okay, so I have two main points, and then I'm gonna head out because I have to work tomorrow. Speaking of which, Prime, you should know that even though I do work during the week, I am available for any and all panels. I have an agreement with my boss, since I'm trying to transition out of my work and become a professional streamer, that he'll try to work around my schedule. So don't worry if I'm not here some days. I can still make it on those days.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly respond to what Adam said before making my final point on this. I don't think you can say that there's no effective to eliminating something. I think you have to essentially presuppose that there's no harm being done. But if there is some sort of harm being done, if people are developing prejudiced views because there's something like that, then yes, removing the source of those prejudiced views would be like that. And even like, here's the thing, is like someone who's predisposed to prejudiced views, it still doesn't have prejudiced views yet. So it technically, and this might sound fantastical to you, but it's not impossible. If they never are like exposed to the idea that these views are correct, they could never actually like obtain them in a serious way. So it is about the context we provide these things in, and that's why when we put something on a library shelf as an endorsement, any kid can access that book essentially. Maybe not take it out, but they can still read it. I read a lot of controversial books in the library. Okay,
Yeah,
so
sorry, go ahead.
If it's quick, I can take it, but like I do want.
Yeah. I'll try to be quick. So my big thing is I just don't think it's generally very effective to limit things. Like, not saying that we should never do it, but I think a lot of times it's very ineffective to limit things from children that we think should be available to adults. It just seems like with most things, whether it's like pornography or like violent games and stuff, that like most people, I understand, but like even still, like most people, like if we're saying we should get, like, you want to get rid of all children's books that are like this, and then like should adults be able to read them? So like I just think like most of the time getting rid of things for children and saying only available to adults is a very bad way of like trying to protect children, because it generally just doesn't seem to work.
I was trying to remember the last tail bit of my point, and that is like, you have to remember that it's like it's an unavoidable truth that kids take what a school provides, especially when it provides it without further context.
And provide the context.
Not always. If you put something on a library shelf and leave the context.
No, I'm saying provide the context.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, but that's why I think that's important, because kids will take that as the school as an authority on the subject, and therefore that is an endorsement if they just leave it on the shelves for you to interpret at will. Okay, so my final point comes to the whole, we need to like stop doing this because it might be relatively ineffective. I think that's inherently disingenuous. You don't actually care about the fact that it's ineffective. If you did, then doing the thing that guarantees ineffectiveness, which is nothing, is going to get you there. So using that as an argument for why we shouldn't do it, it doesn't track to like the conclusion that you're trying to make. And so I really think that if you're going to do this, you need data that shows that it's not harmful, and you're far less likely to get that based on both history and anthropology and just like what parents already know about kids. You're going to have a difficult time finding that data, whereas there's going to be mountains of correlative data that has yet to be refuted with other data.
Wait, why is it not okay to say that, like, I don't think that restricting these things will be effective? Like,
No,
if we want to outright ban things,
No,
that like no one can do
that
them,
can't
like,
possibly be a justification. I'm not saying it's not okay to say that. It can't possibly be a justification to not do it, because if you're not doing it, then you're guaranteeing ineffectiveness. Whereas by doing something, it's only a chance of ineffectiveness. So if you really were concerned about the ineffectiveness, you would avoid the thing that guarantees ineffectiveness.
Or a degree of ineffectiveness, yeah.
But wait, that assumes we have like unlimited resources, and like what I'm saying is that I think that like our efforts would be more effective being put in other ways. So
no,
like,
I'm not assuming
if we could,
unlimited resources. I never said anything about how much we should ultimately do. I'm just saying it's always better to do something than nothing. If your claim
but
is
I
that
didn't like say that we should get rid of all like that. I didn't say we should like get rid of all of these books out of libraries and stuff. I didn't say that we should like get rid of all rating systems for anything. Or I said that like generally trying to restrict access.
Then it wasn't for you then. Okay, so like it's for the people who are coming to the conclusion that doing better is nothing because it might be ineffective.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm done. I'm gonna have a good night. I'm gonna post my Twitter and my YouTube in the chat. Check me out. I'm releasing some of my debates on Prime soon because I finally got some software that can download the VODs properly. Big thank you to Eagle for that. You have an awesome editor there, Prime.
Oh yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.
Night.
Have a good one.
Nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribe to Prime.
Bye.
Good night.
On that note as well, I should probably hop off because I've got work in 6 hours. But I had a lot of fun talking, and hopefully I'll be back again next time.
Please come back. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have a great night.
Later, man.
Too.
So I feel like we've run this topic kind of into the ground.
Yeah, definitely.
A little bit.
So
I really like that topic about school and grades, but that can get a little cancerous. I don't know how you feel about that.
School and grades?
You said like we like
SAT scores and stuff, or
standardized testing. I think.
If you guys want to talk about that, it's fine.
I mean, unless you had something else.
You guys want to talk about it, it's fine. Do you want to talk about it? I don't know. Just tell me.
I don't have anything to input on this.
I guess we could start off with like a lot of people think that the idea of standardized testing is like very harmful, and that like we shouldn't like try to like evaluate students based on how good they are at taking tests. I disagree with this, but that's like kind of.
Can you define standardized testing for everyone?
Standardized testing is usually like universal, and that like most people take them like tests or like standards in which like kids have to like reach to like progress or to like achieve something. So like a good example are like SAT, ACTs. A lot of school like states have graduation tests, and like a lot of these things are required for you to like get into good universities or to graduate high school, stuff like that. I don't know if that was a good enough definition, but
yeah, sure. Oh, what do you all think?
I think standardized testing is more talking about like the in school like Common Core like testing that they do to measure how well the like each district is doing. There's like a specific test that you take when you're in like I don't know 9th grade, and then also again in like 11th grade, like you take like 2 different tests. Those are
like
the
the SAT?
standardized tests.
Yeah.
No, they're like standardized tests like in school, in like public school.
Yeah, so
like
Common Core.
There's like standardized tests that you take, and they measure the school's like effectiveness essentially by those.
Common Core was something released, I think it was during the Obama administration, that tried to like create universal standards across schooling in like the United States. Although not all like states are like a part of this, Basically, instead of taking like a graduation test in like 10th or 11th grade, which a lot of kids do, they would instead test students at every level of education. But it's the same thing. It's another standardized test. Like these are all forms of standardized testing.
All right, so real quick, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very biased when it comes to this, because when it came to
way before Obama.
When it came to standardized tests, those were the things that carried me through high school. I literally fucking hated homework. I rarely ever did it, and my grades suffered a shit ton because of it. But I was really good at memorization and really good at like test taking, especially multiple choice. So like being able to just easily ace those and just pass classes just because I was good at test taking was my fucking lifeline. So I don't know. I like tests that way, but I guess like other people don't. That's just me though.
Well, I'm currently a student in high school, and less tests are better because, hey,
No, more tests. If school was like just tests, I would have been straight A, like fucking 4.0 GPA, because tests are so easy to like. I don't know. Well, for me at least, like most tests are at least the ones we have right now, or ones that I had was just basically just memorization. So I would just study for like 20 minutes before class, like read a paper, and then take the test, and then just forget it the next day. It
That
was
sounds
so
like a
great.
pretty bad thing.
Yeah,
'cause it
in
sounds like
school,
you're
in school you learn enough to maintain the information and then just vomit it out on a test.
Yeah.
At least that was
So,
my
I
experience in
fucking
high
love
school.
that.
So
Yep, and that's how I got through school.
Go ahead, Sam, and then I want to ask Svidan the question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that we use standardized testing for is predicting future success, and they've just proven to not do this in almost any case. As a graduate student, I had to take extra standardized testing after the SAT and other things, and the companies that make these tests try to push colleges to not use them because they don't predict success in college application at all. The SAT is terrible at predicting success. Your GPA, your ability to do homework and synthesize information like that is a much higher predictor of college success and success in the real workplace. So standardized tests don't seem to actually do what their intention is. So that's like my big problem with them.
College is all
Wait, this is like not true. So it is true that like a lot of standardized testing isn't a sole indicator, as like you shouldn't say, oh, they got this number, so like they're gonna perform this well. But in general, students who do better on standardized testing generally are more successful when it comes to college, and it does like
that's one of those correlative things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just correlative. Like we don't know if it's causative or not, right?
No, I think everyone's saying that it's not
or
causative.
meaningfully.
But the idea is we're not trying to say that we standardize test kits so that they do well. We're trying to say like a standardized test is a indicator of people doing well, and so correlations are really good for that.
So
wait, then it sounds like it works perfectly, because if it's like, oh, if it's correlative, then you can see who the smartest people are by the standardized tests. Right?
Yeah,
that means it like works. Right?
Yes.
Except that there are
I mean,
plenty of
tests
people.
aren't supposed to make you smarter; they're supposed to test you. So
no. So there's there's a lot of problems. I'm gonna go to 6 Foot Ant soon. But there's a lot of problems with that, because there are a lot of people who, for instance, so like you said, it's correlative, right? But what exactly is the cause? Could it be that kids who have more resources do better on these tests, right? For instance, they get to have like private tutors that help them out, right? So they come from families that can afford a private tutor, families that might be in better school districts, right? So those kids in the end are better prepared for college. So like that's a possibility. It's like it's not that those other kids who didn't do so well can't do well in college, right? Like they can't succeed and surpass others. It's just that maybe they didn't have those resources, right? And so you're not actually testing for the smartest there, right? You're testing for who has learned how to take the test. We understand that with the SAT especially, right? If you learn how to take the test, you can get extremely high score, but it doesn't necessarily say anything about your intelligence. You just learned how to take the test. So like I reject that. And I don't think that's what Adam was trying to say. But I just want to put that out there. And again, these tests, we've talked about this plenty on this channel, but those tests are designed for a certain demographic. So like they'll have certain questions that will be outside of other people's frames of reference, right? Like talking about I remember there was a really good one there was like, what's a catamaran, right? Like you have to like know like what a catamaran is within a question, but it's a type of boat. But like if you're not part of a boating club, you wouldn't know this, right? Like only people of a certain socioeconomic status could know that, right? So yeah, like it's all kinds of. I would say it's not very good at testing. There,
Sorry. Oh, I was gonna say, I think there's like a difference between just like not trying to like say what you're saying is wrong, but like you kind of said that these tests are designed for a certain demographic, and I think that kind of implies something. Whereas like they are generally biased towards a certain demographic would be a better way to say it. I don't know. Like maybe you do think that they're designed, but
I think they're. Well, I think they're biased.
Do you think like they purposely
I would say,
them in this way?
I see what you're saying. I would say they're biased. I would say they're biased. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to like see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Tests are just oppression on the stupid class.
Okay, I was going to ask 6-Foot Ant something about Australia. I think you're the only foreigner on this panel, unless we got some goddamn Canadians who snuck in. Let me know so I can toss you out.
We got Leafs in here?
But 6-Foot Ant, what about in Australia? Like, do they have standardized testing there? What does it look like? If that's a thing, are people pushing back against it? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, so we have it here in New South Wales. It's basically, it exists and it has exactly the same problems that you described, being like very biased against people from like poorer areas and people from like maybe who English is their second language or they grew up in a different place, they don't have the context or whatever. So that's a known issue and people are pushing against it. The other thing is that our New South Wales testing is just fucking insane. Like it literally drives people to suicide. And I don't know if you guys have it that bad there, but like,
Why is that a bad thing?
Okay, I'm not going to answer that.
No, the idea is that people who have like text anxiety and then like some like very very high like high pressure academic situations among like the really like all the nerdy kids competing with each other at school basically, there's a lot of pressure to do well on tests like this, and a lot of students can attach their feelings of self-worth to tests like this and kill themselves if they do bad.
I didn't grow up in this state, so I didn't do it myself, but like yeah, from what I understand, it just requires like insane study hours to do well. Like you just have to memorize an incredible amount of stuff. And so just like the combination of being extremely tired and feeling like the rest of your life depends on this thing just makes people suicidal because, you know, they feel like their life is over if they fail it.
Take insane study. Wait, hold on. Which test are we talking about? Like just regular class test or like
No, okay, maybe it's different here. Okay, look, so we have the HSC, which is like a standardized test that like also kind of tests every part of your high school achievement for like, you know, it basically is your high school grade in New South Wales. And it's also your university entrance exam score, right? And it's standardized. And so I don't know how that fits in with what you guys do, but yeah, it's really intensive. If anything, maybe it's even worse. So yeah, we don't like it. It should stop.
I disagree.
My take on this is I think it's quite the opposite, right? I think like standardized tests is a good equalizer of like inequality and stuff like that. Because like when you talk about GPAs and stuff, these things like pretty heavily correlate. I say I'd probably argue more correlate with like the school, like how the school performs, right? So like schools that are like underfunded, right, typically can't teach their kids as well and stuff like that, and it reflects their GPA. Where a standardized test, right, like the information is relatively well known that on a standardized, and you can study specifically for these tests, right? while I also think that their argument is that these standardized tests can go too far, right? For example, like in China, they have like this crazy standardized test that everyone takes, and they market it as a great equalizer. But then, like, of course, like rich people can then, of course, hire tutors to also like impact the test, right? So I think like it has to be a balance of both.
Yeah, I just don't think getting rid of standardized testing is like a good. Does anyone think we should just like get rid of it completely, or like?
True, I do.
I heard we were talking about
I'm
testing.
glad I graduated already.
Yeah.
I would have been struggling without
So,
standardized
6
tests.
Foot
God
Ant
damn.
put out the call for another of her countrymen to come and back her up here. Kyo-san.
HSA, I don't fucking understand it. Canberra. Tell them.
Kyo-san, please. Kyo-san, who was here previously for a primetime morale and did amazing. We love Kyo-san. Kyo-san, we'd love to hear from you, buddy.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, sure. So, so I just thought of some standard testing. So basically, like the idea is that you need some like metric by which to understand how well your system is doing. So standard testing teams to fit that role, so you can see like where you need to allocate your funds, where you move them. Right. The idea is that like how much pressure do you put on the kids for this, and do you show them grades? I am personally in the anti-grading camp of education. Right. I don't think we should be giving students grades. I think that they're detrimental. A bunch of studies and evidence need to be have shown this. Like it's a bad incentive. It actually gives like reverse like problems that people like tend to just work towards grades and that's it. They do the minimum amount of work possible instead of striving to high as possible. It disinterests kids, it throws them under, right? So basically like standardized testing is needed because you need to allocate your resources somehow. You need some indicator to show where you allocate your resources, but I'm not a big fan of like sharing grading. I'd rather we move to competency.
Wait, how do we like share? Sorry, how do we like share like? So like if a kid does bad on a test, right? But like thinks he did good, how do you in your like system like suppose that we like help that kid try to get better?
So you get like certain information from that test. You don't just give them like a B or a C or whatever, right? You give them some label showing them where they went wrong. What you do is you go with the kid and you talk to them. You be like, hey, look, it seems like you're having a bit of trouble in algebra, right? Specifically, because you can see exactly what questions they get wrong. Like, is there something you're not understanding? Instead of giving them a big fucking F saying you're a failure.
Yeah, and to back up the point, you can also, and like a good teacher can also see why the child's getting it wrong, right? Especially for things like math.
Okay. Can you just do both? Like give them a grade and then say like, hey, you kind of messed up on these type of questions or in this area.
Well,
right?
the grade
Like,
itself seems to just give like negative incentives.
I guess like what's like an efficient way to let the child know like how well they're doing in
Just
the
let
class
them know. I
other
don't
than the
think it's
grade?
that hard. I don't think it's that hard to go, hey.
Well, yeah, but like giving
yeah,
like a
but,
letter
like-
grade gives like an objective like, oh, okay, so I'm like a B student. I need to like work on this and that and get to like an A, right?
Yeah, so it tells students is I'm a B student, right? It gives them that label.
Yeah,
that,
yeah, so I'm saying
standard
like
to
add
achieve.
on to that, like say like, hey, you got a B on this test. Work on these areas.
Yeah, but couldn't it like sometimes like grades can be like affirmative too, in that like they provide a sense of affirmation. So like if you like just all you tell us kids is like, oh, here's all the things that you did wrong, and like you're just constantly like pointing out all the mistakes that kids make, and then like you're essentially treating the kid who gets like a 60% on a test the same as like a 99, and saying that like, oh, you did all these things wrong, this is what you need to fix, and you don't give them that sense of like positive affirmation of like, hey, Mr. 99%, you did extremely well. You don't have a lot that you need to fix. Like you just made one or two small mistakes compared to like someone who's like can't grasp or understand topics.
Cutsleeve, you're heading out. Cutsleeve, thanks for
Well,
being
it's
here.
like saying kids can't take criticism.
Yeah. Just for a quick outro, my
really
name is
can't.
Cutsleeve. I'm 16. I'll do any debate at any time, and if you win, I'll give you some money because I think information is better than money. So that's me, Cutsleeve, 16.
He left really abruptly.
This kid was 16.
Yeah.
Talking like this, you let me talk like this in this fucking stream?
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is irresponsible.
Oh my
Having
my
a literal
God.
Listen,
shock.
when you go to Prime's channel, listen. When you go to Prime's channel, when you go to Prime's channel, you have to click a thing that says mature audiences. You
Yeah.
have to click a thing that says mature audiences. He knew what he was getting into.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the opportunity to head off as well. But thank you so much. I'll
Thanks
see
so
you
much,
guys.
Six
See you
Foot.
later.
6 Foot, I love
Bye,
you so
6
much.
Foot.
Everyone, go
I was
go
hoping
to
to see
Six
more
Foot's
Aussies,
channel.
okay?
Go to
Good
Six
to see
Foot's
you.
channel.
okay.
And also go to her Twitter. Put your Twitter in chat so everyone can find your Twitter and then find your art project. She's doing a really cool art project. She's an amazing artist. She does commissions too. So put some money in her pocket and get some great artwork. We love her a lot here on this channel. Hey, thanks, 6 Foot.
Thank you so much. Great to meet all you guys. Okay,
Bye.
see you later.
Bye.
Australians are generally pretty great, actually.
All right, so are we switching topics?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I like this topic, but I think a lot of people are.
So I just like to say, point out what Canada does quick, and I'm Canadian, by the way. So I did sneak in here. So what we do is our standardized testing doesn't go to like your universities or your colleges at all. Basically, all the standardized testing is there for really is to it's used to measure how the schools are doing, approximate to each other, right? So I think that's also a good use for standardized testing as well, is to measure how effective schools are approximate to each other, right?
So I disagree with this. And is Adam okay? Someone left. I wanted to make sure. But yeah. First of all, Canadian, really do better. Just kidding. But I disagree with using standardized testing to like judge how well a school does, right? So first of all, here in the States, right, we have charter schools. Yes, we have charter schools, right? And charter schools, they can do all kinds of things. They get all kinds of special privileges. Some of them, at least, can pick who they let in, right? And so they can decide like the audience that'll be let in. So comparing that school to a public school that has to take everyone in, right? The public school is automatically a disadvantage. So many in the States now. Again, things work differently in other countries, so maybe it'd be better fit for your country. But here in the States, like we use local taxes to fund our schools, right? Which means some schools, the schools in poorer areas have less funding, right? Less resources. So comparing them to another school, again, completely unfair. That reminds me of George Bush's No Child Left Behind initiative, right? In which schools who were underperforming by those standardized tests were shut down. My school, which was a middle school, that got shut down a few years after I left, gone because of No Child Left Behind. So that's man. I feel like that ends up hurting low income individuals far more than anyone else. These standardized tests.
Wait, so how else do we like determine like how that like let's say like all of the low, like this is not saying this is true, but let's say there's a bunch of low income schools who are underperforming, right? How do we address that some low income schools are underperforming and like find a way to allocate resources to them?
Well, just allocate resources to them. Like just do that. Like forget anything else. Start with giving them money, because so many of them. I remember in my middle school, we had books literally disintegrating. In our and it happened in my high school too. I had a physics book that was so old. I've said this before in stream. I had a physics book so old. It was like in 1970, like in 1973 it was published. And it talked about how calculators are a new technology. I'll never forget that.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's the thing that happened.
To answer that point about the underprivileged, the underfunded schools, that's another benefit of standardized testing is that like let's say like a lot of these like under resource schools are not a conducive learning environment and stuff like that. So a pretty intelligent person that chooses to say like spend a lot of time at home studying and stuff like that can then excel at these standardized testings, and then a university or someone that's accepting applicants can then be like, oh, okay, you clearly know some stuff. Meanwhile, your GPA might be suffering because of these bad learning environments.
Yeah, and I think schools are even like taking into account that as well, where they're no longer requiring like SAT scores or anything like that. They'll just like look at your extracurriculars, your GPA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of schools still require SAT scores, but it's part of like a holistic picture rather than just like a little piece.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was kind of pushing for, is that like there are better predictors for college success than these standardized tests.
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
Oh, but what I was gonna say is like, so let's like create like this situation. Let's say we have two schools, with that are relatively similar income levels in the United States, right? And one school, when they take standardized tests, does extremely well, and another school does extremely bad, right? Let's say like the kids are just not as educated. How, without standardized testing, how do we differentiate between these two schools when we want to allocate funding to make them more like to make them better at educating students?
So one, I'm not sure simply. I'm not sure if simply that one school has worse grades and standardized testing means it is indeed worse, right? I'm not sure the standardized testing says those kids are less educated, right? It could be that because what happens is another problem with standardized testing is that you spend all your fucking time teaching the test, right? Especially at schools with little resources, because they know they're up on the chopping block, right? So they don't deviate from that. They're like, we gotta hit these points. We gotta hit these points. I remember once again being in those schools and like, hey, this is going to be on the test. This is all we're going to be talking about. Like, we can't like have like fun lessons, right? Where we dig into concepts. We have to like make sure you hit these points, right? Now, were we more educated for that? We were just trying to memorize these specific points and to things that weren't really engaging to us at all, right? Were we honestly more educated? So we could see, and using your example, Adam, right? We could see that we could have two schools, similar income levels, right? Where one school is not actually teaching to the test and having more engaging lessons, right? To keep the students' attention, and they do worse in the standardized testing, but the kids could be like maybe more educated or at least more involved in school life, right? So I don't think it's just that simple. Does that make sense?
I guess this is kind of like putting the onus on you, but I
Okay.
guess like how do we tell the difference between how do we tell the difference between what metrics do we use to tell if a school is successful?
Mm-hmm. That's a tough one. You could maybe do we could maybe do like if you track kids. Sorry, what? Sorry. Did you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so if you maybe track kids and their success, like number of kids like maybe getting into college, maybe might be a measure of success, right? Like if you do like long-term tracking of their students, that might be a way of doing things. It doesn't give you immediate results, but like it tells you like where people are actually ending up. My problem is like, especially because another thing standardized testing is used for in this country is for teacher salaries, right? Saying that like if your kids don't perform, right, then you lose out. Again, putting more pressure on teaching that test. So I'm not sure if I have a good answer. I'm not sure I have a good answer for you.
No, that's fine. It's a little bit unrealistic to like just like solve the problem like on a stream.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think maybe long-term tracking. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it is a good point to bring up that standardized testing is like it can go too far, and like if we give it too much power, there's some bad circumstances that happen, right? Like in China, like they basically only teach for the chest because that's the only thing that's like an indicator of like that's really the only thing that employers look at to hire, right? So it's like, and in that case, these kids don't have a really solid education because they're only learning this test, and it's really not applicable to everyday life. So yeah, I think there is a really fear of putting too much importance in standardized testing.
So I wanted to hop in because I heard that you guys were talking about standardized testing. And I wanted to also mention that in India, for getting into university, they have their standardized testing, and you have to hit within a certain percentile, or you don't get into most of the universities you want to end up going to. And people there end up studying as early as 13 years old for university level standardized testing. It's very common that a lot of children that grow up within the Indian education system don't actually get to participate in any form of extracurricular activities or hanging out with their friends because they're too busy prepping for the standardized test. Many of the people I've gone to university with have said immediately after school, all they do is get ready for this standardized test. Even within the American system, I believe that we focus a little bit too much on standardized testing ourselves. For example, in my education system, which I grew up in Florida, we have something called the FCAT, and as early as like second grade, people have to start taking the FCAT. And not
I
only were
remember that
teacher
shit.
salaries tied to this, but teachers' bonuses were tied to it. So I actually didn't learn fuck all about math until I actually moved out of the US. All I knew was how to memorize what they wanted me to know. And teachers would be particularly nice to us after we do very well on the FCAT and give us cake and stuff because they're like, hey, you got me a $5,000 bonus this year. So thank you, kids. And I think this whole system of pressuring children for either making their teachers look good or pressuring children by letting them know by the age of like 12 that your entire life is going to be in the hands of this standardized test is ridiculous. And I think the way, I don't know if it's still as bad, but when I was applying for university, the SAT was still very, 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 very emphasized. And, you know, I just think it's a lot of pressure to be putting on like people that are not even done with puberty yet, to like this one thing is going to determine your life's outcome.
Sam?
Man. The
Yeah,
FCAT
so,
was... Go ahead.
So going off of this, I intuitively it feels like the No Child Left Behind probably had to deal with some survivorship bias. If the schools that were performing the best were getting rewarded, doesn't that show that like the schools that were performing worse were the ones that actually might need help in some way? So why are we incentivizing the schools? I mean, I'm not saying to just leave them alone, but like, sure, aren't the schools that are doing worse be the ones that we're paying attention to figure out why they're doing worse, rather than just closing them off or incentivizing these scores to just go up? Because again, while the metric there might be helpful, I think the way that we've used this seems to be probably problematic. And again, this is intuitively. I haven't done any like look into if there's any survivorship bias of No Child Left Behind or any of these kinds of things. So don't take that as like a
No, I think you're like pointing to a really important thing, which is like a lot of people say, oh, well, like school districts who do bad get like funding taken away, and that's not good. And I think that's like a very hands-off approach from our government and the way that we do education. Is that like, oh, we just like take the schools who do well and give them more money, and then we like get rid of the schools who do bad instead of like trying to like fix schools that do bad. And I think that like you're not pointing out an inherent problem with standardized testing being bad.
No,
I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but I think that's like you're like a really good point. Is that like standardized testing itself isn't bad, and it's the ways that we use it that are harmful.
I think standardized testing in itself is stupid.
I
think IQ tests are stupid. I think the SAT is stupid. I think the FCAT's stupid. All of it is really dumb.
Hey,
But there's
FCAT was
different types
based,
of-
all right? Fuck off.
Some of these things are like really good like performance indicators.
I don't think so. I don't think it is at all. I believe, so for example, on my SAT, and it's anecdotal, of course, but I believe that this applies beyond just my experience. I did pretty shit on the writing section. I am one of the most well-spoken people within my department at my university. I don't think these are really good indicators of how well you're going to go on and to like survive in different types of contexts.
So like
just because I don't feel like reading some stupid pad about Shakespeare and finding out what it.
No, you get.
Sorry, was there
you
an
had a
audio
lag
issue,
spot.
or-
You had a lag spike, but you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just because I don't necessarily have the attention span for going ahead and completing some type of reading comprehension on poetry or Shakespearean literature or anything that's like not written in modern day English doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not going to be able to succeed in university. I've seen several people that I went to high school with that did worse than I did on the SAT and graduated. Graduated from university before I did. So I just don't think these are real indicators of fuck all. And like, you also have to think that a lot of times when people are not able to go ahead and necessarily succeed on these standardized testings, you have to also understand that people's circumstances coming into these tests are not equalized, and it's not an actual like proof of intelligence, but just a proof of privilege that you were actually like well fed enough that day for the SAT, that you slept well enough for the SAT, that your parents got you your your ADHD medication in time for your SAT. These are not real indicators of anything besides the fact that you have family
So
that cares about you.
you can kind of say the same thing for like
the
homework and like schoolwork as well, then, right?
No, I wouldn't say the same thing with homework and schoolwork. So the SAT indicates how good you are at taking tests, right? But realistically, what you should be doing is assessing children along the entirety of their school life, right? You should, because teachers make thing a lot of people don't understand is that teachers make notes about like what you do when you're in class. They make notes about your homework. They make notes about your attendance. They make notes about like everything you do, right? Assessment generally already happens at every level along your educational career, right? And it should. But like what we shouldn't be doing, we shouldn't be taking tests as the only assessment. What we should be is taking them as assessment in a group of assessments and using that entire assessment profile to because that tells you exactly how a student's going to run.
Tests are never. Wait, hold on. Tests are never the only assessment. I'm pretty sure even colleges don't just look at your test scores, right? This isn't true in like any fashion.
So I
at all.
apologize for being like
this-
hyperbolic. Obviously, you have like assessments in class, like assessments that you get like written to, right? You have like other things that are written into. You have your stuff, but like tests hold like a massive weight over like
and
how
they
well
should.
it's done.
I don't
think they should.
I did
test-
pretty well
wait, hold
in
on, wait.
SAT, and I was
Okay.
offered additional scholarships, and I did not deserve those additional scholarships just because I woke up really good one day.
Well, it's
but
not
that's not the
because
only.
you woke
Test,
up
it's like
really
anything.
good
Test
one
taking
day,
is like a
but-
different environment, and some people just don't thrive in that environment, right?
Yeah,
like,
so
okay,
how
but
about we
test
get rid
taking
of
is
test
part of
taking?
normal life as
So,
well.
this
No,
is
it's
going
not.
to be my point is that
What?
many people learn many different ways, right? I don't think anyone's going to argue this, that many people learn in many different ways, right? So I think that totally removing these standardized testing is doing a disservice to people that might express their intelligence the best in that way, right?
Yeah, like
I mean,
there's
that's
people like that, like me actually. So like, I don't. You're fucking people like me over with doing shit like that.
Yeah,
like
so like the idea is just to not make it your whole life's profile, right?
Wait, can we talk
It's
about how
not.
like
No,
other
wait, hold.
performance
Okay, wait. I need to respond to this. Okay, so test.
If you're gonna repeat
least
exactly what you said before and take what I said uncharitably, I'm gonna get really mad.
Well, let me finish before you like.
Because I can already predict.
interrupt me.
I'm fucking Joseph Jotaro, right? And I can already hear you. I can tell what you're gonna say next.
What am I gonna say then? Please tell me.
What you're gonna say is like, we never take the test as the whole profile. What we do is we take the assessments and we take the tests and we take this and make this as a whole thing. There's like 5 different things that they test as they go into university, not just the test, right? When I said that a minute ago. I know that's what you're gonna say. You're probably gonna say something different now.
But then
so you were gonna say that.
Can you shut the fuck up for 5 seconds, please? Okay. So you're trying to make this argument that tests are like overly weighted, right? When that's not even close to fucking true in any way, shape, or form. So first of all, I remember back when I was in high school, like 4 years ago, so not even that long ago, that tests were, I think, 25 to 33% of my overall score in that class. So, and I know this because classes that I did bad in because of homework, where like I had D's in, I could like rely on my test scores to like bring them up to like high B's or like A's sometimes. So like, and then yeah, on top of that, like schools again. I mean, you're gonna get mad at this, but like, yeah, it's not just SAT scores that they look at, like GPA and like which is like your overall like assessment for your whole 4 school years is like also like looked at pretty big or as well for like getting into college.
Something to piggyback off that, I reject the idea that like standardized testing are like the biggest indicator in the United States, at least. In other places, like definitely, but like in the United States, for sure, are not the largest indicator of like. I would say that GPA is like way more important. And indicator like GPA, or like even if you don't want to like break down GPA and say like let's say like how much kids are trying, like how much effort a kid is willing to put towards something. For one, if you can put a lot of effort towards something, good for you. But if you can't do fuck all with that effort, then like sucks to suck, but you like didn't perform. And the other thing is that like let's say there's like a kid who's like 16, works a job, so he misses half days at school because he's poor and has to help pay the bills at his family's house, and can't like do any of the assignments because he doesn't have time. But then that same kid goes and is like really smart and can like get like a perfect score on the ACT or SAT, and that this also gives this student a chance. Who like where GPAs are like one of the like bigger indicators that we use in the United States when it comes to like getting into college and stuff like that, and they're usually like I would say usually in tandem with things like standardized tests, and like these things measure different things, and using these things together lets you get more holistic pictures of students.
On top of that, extra curriculars, I would even argue are like two weighted. Like, what the fuck does like doing band class or like doing some sport have to do with like this person does well in college?
You're
Like those are weighted.
You're spitting
dedication to something.
You are spitting hot facts. Fuck that shit. Like what? Well, I know what that have to do. Like if you're a kid who just doesn't want to. These things. Fuck you guys. Fuck you soccer kids. Fuck you chess kids. Fuck you band kids.
Two extra hours at school. Bullshit. No, let me go home. Let me do good on my fucking test. Let me do good on my fucking classwork, and then get into college. Why do I gotta spend hour at band, hour at soccer?
Yeah,
wait,
come
on, man.
I'm sorry that like you guys have like super simple lives, but like in the real life is a balancing act, and showing that a student can balance stuff like soccer and school and a job,
or they have resources, or they're not working, right? So for instance, like they have
kiss my ass.
Everyone shut up. So like or it could be the kid doesn't have resources, right? And is too busy working and can't do all these random things, right? It's like he's working like fucking McDonald's or something, right? But they gotta support their family or some shit. Yeah. So like people are all kinds of situations, and it doesn't say just because I didn't do fucking like extracurriculars because I didn't give a shit about any of that, right? And it doesn't say that like I can't balance things, right? That I can't multitask or any of that, right? You're just like I want to just chill.
But you could argue that every single any single metric of performance that we use regardless is going to discriminate against people who don't have resources. Like let's say like you just can't get enough sleep at night, you're just going to perform worse at stuff, and maybe that you can't get sleep because you're busy, and like that means you can't put enough effort in. We just want to see how much effort you're going to put in. Like regardless of any sort of metric that you try to like establish, poor people are going to get fucked. And like our goal shouldn't be to like let's get rid of like these standards so that we don't fuck poor people. It should be that we should let people be poor.
Get better metrics. Exactly.
We should get better metrics, but we should also like use these metrics to allocate resources to those who are poor, and so that they can do better.
I agree. We should get better metrics, and the extracurriculars are fucking terrible. So
extracurriculars are bullshit. Let's go.
So I'll let Katana in, and then I'll let Chris in, and then the newest one, Revian. We'll let you in after that. So Katana, Chris, Revian. Don't contramand me because you're wrong. I'm right. But go ahead.
I'm just saying there needs to be more of like opportunities to actually properly give your explanation of your circumstances. So for example, when I was going ahead and applying for university, I didn't get into one of my universities because I didn't take enough AP classes. I was also fucking living in Haiti. What AP class do you want from me? But there was no opportunity for me to explain to them, hey, I took the one AP I could because I was living in Haiti and I couldn't take AP physics because there was no AP physics. And the one school where I was able to go ahead and explain that, they were able to get more of a holistic view saying, hey, I lived in Haiti. Hey, my first year I was having a mental health crisis, and that's why my grades weren't that good then. But as you see, I just graduated in my last year with a 3.9, so it shows that I got better. And then I got in with scholarship on that school. There needs to be more of an opportunity for people to go ahead and give full explanations of the things that they go through, because not everybody has a white picket fence and a dog, and the only thing holding them back is because their mom's on benzos. Some people have more like serious issues than that, and they need to go ahead and explain.
Love it. Go ahead to Chris, then we'll go to Revian.
I'm glad that you said that because there already is like a mechanism for that, right? Like let's not pretend like the colleges and the world isn't like not understanding. Like you get an opportunity to kind of explain your situation in like college essays and stuff like that, right? Like so like I have a friend who was like hyper focused on like his academics, didn't really do any like extracurriculars, and he got into like an Ivy League school, right? And then I have friends who were like super focused on extracurriculars and like their grades aren't like the best, but like they also did pretty well as well. So like, you know, like colleges understand this stuff, and you know, like
not all give those
Sure.
opportunities. So there were some schools that I was more than qualified to get into, but since I didn't have the opportunity to explain my circumstances, or they put stupid fucking questions like if you could be with an animal, what kind would you like to be?
Well, that-
Or what do you want to
No
they
way.
put
He
dumbass
did not ask
do
that.
like
No
college-
fucking way.
I don't know
Did you
what
not-
universities. I've seen dumbass fucking questions. I've seen people ask me questions like, if you could have dinner with somebody, who would it be? Stupid fucking questions, and it doesn't allow me to go ahead
Was
and
that
explain my
actually one?
circumstances.
Was this your university
These
application?
questions
Yes,
are
I've
like
had
very
dumbass
good
fucking
questions
for
indicative
university.
of
They
things.
didn't ask you to do like an essay or anything?
I had the essay where like 300 words and it's dumb shit that has nothing to do with my actual life, and I don't get to explain, hey, I'm living in Haiti, so I can't do certain things that you want me to do. I've like some
couldn't you have
universities, they
just
gave
wrote that
more
as
than
part of
ample
the
room
essay?
for me to explain my circumstances. Other universities asked me like dumb shit, like what was your favorite extracurricular, and none of them. I hate all of it. I don't want to be here.
You can so easily, like, if they write you like, oh, like what celebrity, like write a 300-word essay about like what celebrity you like to have
Yeah.
dinner with. You can talk about your life experiences and stuff like that, and why you chose the celebrity that you chose.
Yes,
Like,
I chose the celebrity that
you
couldn't
don't
put
have
me
to
on a
answer
plane
the
to Haiti. That one, like, how do I sneak it in there?
you don't have to answer the question they ask you. That's
It's
what
like
I'm
we
saying.
talked about, like, oh, you didn't get to take AP tests and you didn't get to take white picket fences extracurricular, and like, not like, to be honest, like maybe someone who did all that kind of stuff was more equipped to go to a certain school than you were, and like that's not fair, and that's why we should try to get more kids access to things like AP testing, and we should get more kids access to things like extracurriculars instead of saying that, oh, these things just shouldn't matter at all. Like these are things that are like shown to like be good for children, and if you give more children access to them, it's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Someone just said that Stanford asked them, "What was your favorite drink?"
Nice.
My favorite drink was the one I learned from my extracurricular. Then just roll with that.
Nice. Revian, thank you for being
Yeah.
here. Love to hear what you have to say.
Sure. What I would like to say is that when it comes to like tests and all that, like what university is trying to gauge your skill, like if you have been through unfortunate situations, if you're poor, if you don't have access to resources, obviously, like, and you might not be as well equipped as other students, it would seem unfair to like you getting in, even though of your unfortunate circumstances. And instead of focusing on like making sure it's like fair for everyone, we should focus on making sure everyone has access to those resources in the first place, right?
Yeah, like exactly. That's what I said. That was what I
Yeah.
was saying. Who is this guy? I like this guy.
Nah, I was definitely up your alley when it came to your stance. So
Thank you.
But yeah, I think I'm not impressed with the current state of things here. There definitely could be better, but it's a hard question. This is really tough. Like, I mean, Adam asked me, like, well, what should we do instead? And it's not all easy. It's not all clear to me. I'm not an education expert, and not even slightly. But like, I saw the kids who lacked option. Like, so I was lucky. My family was like good with money, right? And then because of that, I was able like to go to school, because we weren't in debt and we can get loans and stuff, right? So that happened for me. But there were a lot of other kids who their backgrounds wasn't gonna happen, right? And so like the only chance was to like get a scholarship or something, right? But then we had these schools that just weren't teaching them, right? Like didn't give them the tools they needed to succeed. And they didn't give the tools I need to see. I was just telling someone about how when I went to college, I started in like the regular math class, but like I didn't do well, and I had to do like the remedial classes because literally I wasn't taught what everyone else was taught at that time. There was like I remember sitting in class with kids, right, who came from more well-researched schools. They were telling me, oh yeah, he's just talking about this and this and this math concept, right? I had never fucking heard of these things. Once I went back into the remedial courses, I crushed it. Like, it was so easy for me. Once I actually learned the concept, but there were so many things I just was not exposed to, right? And so that's what kept me back from not performing optimally. It was because I was less prepared, but wasn't because of lack of mindset, right? It's because I just wasn't taught the material. But go ahead, Revian.
I just wanted to touch on like potential solutions or something like that, because I come from Sweden, right? And here our government has worked very hard to make sure that everyone has the same chance. So, for example, we have you actually get paid to school, for example, in Sweden, and it's very hard. Like, there's not really any extra special private schools. So it's all like very public. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. Like, if you want to talk about
For
making everything even.
university, you get paid to go to university.
Yeah, you do that too.
Sorry,
Yeah, so do I.
Sorry, I missed that part. Were you saying that there was no private schools that we mentioned? I missed
There's
it.
very, very few private schools in Sweden, and they're generally like pretty equivalent to our public schools when it comes to like those type of stuffs. So yeah.
I've argued about getting rid of private schools many times on this channel.
No.
I've done it many times. Fuck you, private school kids.
What's your argument? What's your argument? Just real quick.
Oh, simple. Because private schools, like you're taking out the kids of well-resourced families, out of the public school system, right? So they're evacuating from there, right? Rather than fix the public schools, right? You evacuate them. So families who do that, right, have no buy-in politically to fix those schools, not even a little bit. Right.
Wait. But if money is allocated through tax reasons, can you argue that like rich people taking their kids out of public schools gives more money per person to the kids who can't afford it?
Yeah. So my problem is that and it's not a numbers game. It's like numbers game is the problem. Like, oh, taking individual kids, because like you as I understand it, and if I'm wrong about exactly how this is allocated, and it might actually change depending on the district, but like per child, like money follows like the child, right? So like if you had more kids, you'd have like more money, right? It's just like the percentage of money you get changes, right? That's what, as my understanding.
So I don't know if this is true. Maybe if you're talking about like school vouchers or something, but in general, we just use property taxes, and a portion of all property taxes paid goes towards like the funding that schools in the area get. And so like if I'm a rich person, right? I'm not, but if I'm a rich person paying property taxes, but then I use my money to go pay a school to get like for my kid to go to, my kid is not benefiting from the percentage of property taxes that goes towards the school, and that goes towards like the other kids in the school.
But that's my problem. Okay, so once again, right, we have known the problem with schools here in the States, right, in terms of property taxes. We've known this issue for years, right, many years, and it's still never been tackled, right? The powers that be refuse to do it. If people were forced, right, their kids, the rich kids, like Bill Gates' kids, right, like having to go to those public schools, he would have buy-in. Would have buy-in to actually help fix the problem. Like people with resources, people with access to power would have buy. And we saw this on a smaller scale, right? We saw this during the school busing, right? When that was happening back in the 80s. So you had, in that situation, you had white parents and white kids going to black schools, and then vice versa, right? All of a sudden, those white kids from those more well-resourced households, those more well-connected households, right? They were going to extremely shitty schools, right? Schools that had absolutely no resources whatsoever. But overnight, once those white parents saw the schools that their kids were now going to, all of a sudden driveways were paved. All of a sudden gymnasiums were actually fixed up and made usable. All of a sudden they had textbooks, right, that weren't disintegrating like mines were disintegrating, right? So we've seen this, right? When it's just like. So like for educational segregation, right, is terrible, just like housing segregation is, right? And that's part of the problem as to why we have these things in the first place. My point is, right, like if we get rid of these private schools, right, you have everyone in, have all the people who are well resourced, then everyone has buy-in. Everyone is fighting to make these schools as great as they possibly can be, because they care about their kids. That's why.
Wait, but what ends up happening instead is like, so what happens now is a parent says, I want to live in this neighborhood, but the schools are too bad, so I'll just send my kid to public school. But what happens instead is the rich people just move to places where there are nicer public schools, and then they say fuck, and then the public school the poor public school just doesn't get their money at all, and they end up living in like
no. But once again, yes, that's why we changed the fund, like the whole funding structure here in the States is wrong. So all it has to be changed from the get-go. That's another thing that happened. I'm saying, along with that, also we should get rid of private schools. All right, so like,
so my biggest thing is that if you get rid of private schools, it's not really tackling the issue of allocating resources to the less funded schools, right? Because typically these kids that are going to private schools end up being from a wealthier background, obviously. So the school that they'd end up going to is already pretty well funded in comparison to like these underfunded schools. I don't think closing private schools is like probably the first step to like allocating resources to these underfunded.
I didn't say it was the first step. The first step.
I don't think it's a. I don't think it's a rust.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm just like clear. This is not the first step for doing this. I think this is one of the tools we could use to actually strengthen the public school system, right? Because once you give these people these options, right, they'll take that option, and then you'll see you have an entire party dedicated to destroying public schools. But if all their kids had to go there, then they would have a reason to actually strengthen the system rather than tearing the system down, right? Now, this wouldn't eliminate the discussion about like public versus private anything, right? But let's just make it harder if your kids would also have to suffer depending on the policies that were implemented.
Wait, Fran, do you think that people shouldn't be able to homeschool their children?
Segregation in public school too. Like there's still those same issues that go on. So for example, where I grew up in Florida, so the high school, like the local high school was whatever, but then we had this other like side segregation called magnet school, and then you have to go through the whole application process, almost exactly like a college application process. And the best magnet schools still look way better than all of the public schools. And I feel like that system would just end up being perpetuated too. So, everybody's like, we can't do private school anymore. Okay, we'll just make all of our kids go to magnet school.
This is, you bring up actually a really good point. I've heard about this actually. That happens even now. We haven't banned private schools. That does happen now in terms of using magnet schools as a way to exclude kids. That's another big problem. I went to a magnet school, but like I've heard of
a magnet school again.
A magnet school is you have to apply. Not just any kid can get into it. You have to have a certain level of academic success in your previous school.
And there's also different metrics. So there's like School of Arts is a type of magnet school. You have STEM schools that are magnet schools, business school, like business high schools that are magnet
schools. We have French immersion in Canada.
Yes, as well. We also have French immersion in stuff. So yeah, that was this exact system. So my local high school, it was whatever. I lived in a decent area, but the magnet school I got into was fucking kick ass. And I'm like, dude, why are you guys not allocating this kind of money to every high school? That's ridiculous. Why are there 3D printers before there's 3D printers anywhere else in the world in a fucking high school? Just because I have good grades, that's all. Like, and once again, I was in a point of privilege to have good grades.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
Fran, I have a question for you, Fran.
You've got lots of questions for me, don't you?
Do you think? Yeah, I do. Do you think that people should be able to homeschool their students?
I'm torn on homeschooling. I'm closer to not being a homeschooling, because I'm looking at how homeschooling actually works out in America. And like what those kids are learning is pretty fucked up. Like I've seen some homeschooling textbooks. So, sorry, what?
Don't on average homeschool students perform better? Is that?
I don't think they do, actually. I'm pretty sure they actually do worse based on what I've heard
definitely
so
not in
far,
life.
actually.
It's like a social aspect. Really
so what I'm talking about, I'm not even talking about their scholastic performance, right? I'm talking about like what they actually like learn. There's a lot of like hardcore like Christian propaganda type homeschools, right? Like homeschooling programs I've seen. So I don't know. But again, like I said, I'm torn on the subject. So I can't give you a definitive answer on that. I don't learn more. But it gets pretty dark.
I think you got to bite the bullet on the homeschooling and just say, like, I'm against homeschooling if you're going to be against private schooling.
Yeah,
right?
Okay, fuck it. I'm gonna throw my all out. All right, sure.
It's just the most consistent thing.
I mean, if that's what you want, that's fine. I don't care.
Because one of my arguments would be, one argument be if you ban private schools, rich people just like they could still pull out of the school system and put their kid in with tutors and stuff like that, and that'd be a form of like homeschooling, right? So
sure, but
I
here's
think
the
you just
thing.
gotta
But
bite
not
the
everyone.
bullet
But
on
let's be
homeschooling.
clear, right? So you brought up like people moving, right? So not everyone is going to move, right? So like people have roots in their in their local communities,
you
right?
might even
It's not
say
like
the
you'll
rich
have like
people are gonna move
you'll
who
have
the
a
resources,
mass
right?
exit. Hold on. It's not like you'll have a mass exodus all over the place. People have to settle someplace, right? And what you want them to settle is within the public school. So even if they're going to more well-resourced public schools, right? At least they're buying into the public school system and not simply exiting, right? So even that in itself is improvement on the people who are just completely separated from all of that.
But wait, hold on.
Can I ask a question? So, what would you do with people that want to make sure that their kids are like in like a religious type of schooling system?
I
don't think
I'm
religious
not a
schools
fan.
should
Wait,
Hold
wait.
on, hold on. Stop. Because she asked me a question.
Okay, go ahead.
But I am not a fan of religion, as longtime viewers will know. So yeah, fuck you and your fairy tale religion courses. Whatever. Go to public school.
What about people who live in
Anti-theist,
conservative
crazy.
areas and want to take their student out of religiously like propaganded public schools in order to teach them like good secular values?
Oh well, you could still do that. You could still. You're talking about homeschooling. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean homeschooling, private schooling, either one. Like, let's say that I live in like the middle of Tennessee, where you know who's from
You
Tennessee.
should be
Like, we
going
don't
to
want to
your
be there.
government. Your school
And,
shouldn't have
and
religion
like I
in it.
like
Wait, what? I'm from
Yeah.
Tennessee. What?
Tennessee. There's people from Tennessee I'm not a fan of. Okay.
Kaiser, did you just say you're from Tennessee?
No, Eagle Eye is.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So yeah, I agree with what Katarana said. I think first of all, if they're having religion in your school, then that's a job for the government, right? To, like, that shouldn't be the case. So there should be government action taken there. So do that.
But yeah, I mean, it's just because for some people it's more a part of their identity. So, just even for people that are Jewish, like they want their kids to know very well how to read Hebrew, etc. And like, how are they going to get those things?
You can that part you can teach them at home.
You can do
Yeah.
that.
Also, are you saying that
or
like
synagogue school, like Sunday school, synagogue school or something? I don't know, but like go to a public school.
what about but like what you're kind of saying is like let's say there's like a parent who's like wants their kid to do very well, right? And they want to do like they have money and they want to do it in any way that they can. You're basically saying that like kids now need to like bite the bullet and like they need to sacrifice their children so that the poor kids in the future get an education.
Well, we don't want to
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, but yeah, like if you're saying
No. So I think you're saying you're going to sacrifice the kids currently, because I'm not seeing any answers from you. I'm like, you're saying sacrifice these kids currently within the system, and let's not inconvenience people who are rich. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm going to inconvenience rich people. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to have to fucking sacrifice. This is what kind of looks like when
wait. I am not
equality.
saying we're going to inconvenience rich people.
It's literally
That's what you just said. That's what you just said.
No, I'm saying that like. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe it like turns out that way, and maybe I'm okay with that. But what I'm saying is like whether you're rich or not, let's say like parents like even let's say you're a poor
Let's
person
say lots
who
of
can
things.
get your kid into like a very like affluent school, private school, right? And like should that parent now have to like let their kid go to the poor school and get a bad education?
I'm saying that we should be putting the efforts of our society, right, into making sure that public school is as good as it possibly can be. That there shouldn't have been a discrepancy in the first place. But now that we know there's a discrepancy, let's actually fix it. That's what I'm saying, right? No, I'm not saying like to just dump the kids there. I'm saying this is a multi-pronged problem, right? This is one of the prongs, right? Getting rid of the private school. But again, the funding issue is an issue. So the local funding from local property taxes needs to go, right? We need to have like a generalized fund for schools that we distribute maybe by like population or something, right? But just a more equitable way. There's plenty of ways that we can do it. Let's do it that way. That's what I'm saying. And there's other solutions that we can brainstorm too. But I think part of the problem. One is school segregation, right? By class, but also by through housing segregation. Part of this problem is through housing segregation. So when you have all the people who the undesirables in society, right? In one area of concentrated poverty, let's call it a ghetto. I don't know, maybe, right? When you have them there, then you can more easily take away resources from that area. So that's part of the problem too. So and that too. This is a multi-pronged approach to solving this problem, not just one thing. Chris.
Okay, 2 questions for you, Prime. I know you said that you would have to bite the bullet on the no homeschool thing, but does it still exist in your world? Is homeschool still an option?
Like I said, I'm not
I know you're against it, but like, does it still exist? Because if it does exist, then you've effectively done nothing, because rich people will just homeschool.
No, that's not every rich person will do that.
I know, but like
this is the same argument
ever.
Yeah.
They'll do anything to get them the fuck out. Like,
exactly what
they're
you're
at work.
saying.
They don't have to worry about being at the house.
No, I'm saying that like this is the same argument.
Rich people do work. Hold on. Let's not say shit like that.
This is the same argument.
I think it's just
This is
raising the
oh my
bar.
god! Please hold on 1 second. Please let me just get this out. Then I want to hear what you have to say. Through glad. This is the same argument. People are like, well, what happens if you tax the rich? They'll just flee the country, right? Like, so we definitely can't do that. Like the rich, like they're scared, right? Like, so if you inconvenience them, if you do something against them, then they will flee the country. So but do as they want, right?
Is a little bit harder than homeschool.
No, but I'm saying is I understand that. But it's the same mindset, right? Like, yes, there will be some who will do exactly what you say. There will be some who flee the country, and there'll be some who homeschool their kids, right? So, okay, sure, right? They'll get a private tutor, and how the fuck do you regulate that any which way, right? Sure. And again, like I said, I was unsure about homeschooling to begin with. But overall, many of them will have bought in, right? They would rather that their kids simply go to school, get away from them, right? Be out there, be able to socialize, because there's value in that too, right? So yeah, like not literally every rich person will do this. Some will, definitely, not all.
My one problem with the tax thing is this kind of already happens. Not what you said, but basically it happens when you increase taxes on people. They tend to put their money into offshore tax haven accounts, right? So this does tend to happen already.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we need the handy dandy IRS for, right? We should be empowering the IRS. We should be closing loopholes, right? And we should be cracking down those rich motherfuckers. So that's how we should be doing that. Anyway,
I imagine that like if you change the system so much, like some like underground like homeschooling like network will like form, and people will be like, well, there's more kids to homeschool now, so we'll charge less because we'll have enough money. And yeah, I don't know.
Well,
that sounds like
tutors become a lot more popular.
Come out. Well, I'm very curious to see what they have to do.
Yeah, black market homeschooling. This sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But any which way, this has also been really fun. Audience members, we're going to be back on Monday for the Reverie. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have big guests or something, whatever, I don't know. And then we'll have our Amazon Lily the next day. It'll be like all women and they'll do stuff. I don't know. I stream 6 days a week. Open panels, right? Craziness happens all the time. If you're enjoying this, here, do me a favor. Hit that follow button. Hit that notification bell so you know I'm going live. I want to thank all my guests who have been so kind to join us. Seriously, I thank every single one of you, especially the new people who stopped by. I want to thank Eagle Eye Valor, right? Eagle Eye Valor, who is my handy dandy editor for my YouTube page. Hey, yes, Prime has a YouTube page, right? YouTube in chat lets you know how to find it. There's a link. Check it out. But you should also check out Eagle Eye Valor, who apparently does stream. I still have not followed his channel, but you should. Don't follow my example. You should follow his.
You don't follow your editor? What the hell? That's exposed, Prime.
Crazy.
I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it right now. Okay, fine.
Pay the poor guy.
He doesn't even follow his own editor.
Pressure.
Hey.
And he doesn't
Okay.
even compensate his editor either.
Okay. Anyway, so
What? We got another Hassan in here? What the fuck?
No. But thank you, Eagle
Nobody
Eye.
said that.
Thank you, Eagle
Can
Eye.
I shout myself out since I'm going to be on a panel tomorrow?
I'm going to get to you. Hold on.
Okay, fine.
Fine.
Let's take a walk. Okay, whatever.
But yeah, okay. Moving on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prem.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Ginga Ninja. Ginga, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Ginger?
Ninja, no problem.
Oh.
It doesn't matter to me really, but Ginger's Ginger. Yeah, you can find me over at my Twitch page. It was great being here, great conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And CMA Gruder, I see you in chat. Apparently you disagree. We'd love to have you on the panel so you can tell me how wrong I am. I enjoy when people do that. Well, mostly. I mean, for a little bit. And then I like get really fucking annoyed. Do as I say! Sorry, never mind. But thank you so much, Giga Ninja. Next, skipping over Katarana, we're going to Chris. Chris, thank you for coming through. It was nice meeting you. Nice of you to come on here. It was really kind. It was really nice. Sorry. It's really nice that you stopped by. Please, are you a streamer or do you do anything like that?
No, not really. I don't know. Just follow me on Twitter. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I will stream. Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a
future's open.
Yes,
Yeah, future's
he
open.
is. As you can see, Chris is fantastic at marketing. But thank you so much for being around. Next, we have Ravian. How do you pronounce your name? I'm not exactly sure. Ravian?
Raven works.
Just Raven. Okay, great. Raven, thanks so much for coming through. Really appreciate you stopping by. Tell the world about yourself.
I definitely want to come further out. I do some streams sometime, but I've been not really doing political stuff, but I've been looking to get into it. But yeah, that's it.
What's your name?
Raven TV.
I don't.
Type in.
Oh, okay. You didn't haven't typed in chat. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah. Raven. Okay. Everyone, go follow him. Next, Sam the Human. Sam the Human. Are you also Sam the Streamer?
Yes, I'm. Well, sometimes I used to stream quite a bit. I've stopped since I've started my master's degree. But I want to get back into it. Teach people a little bit about computer science and some other stuff that I do. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Be glad. Thank you for coming in at the very, very end of a long stream. How are you doing, Be glad?
Dude, you were talking shit on chess players, and that pissed me off. So I came in. But
do you stream?
Do I? No.
Okay. But thank you. For
I like
being
your
here.
streams though.
Yes. That's all. The only stream you need, right? You don't need to stream. Just come and watch my streams and donate. That's all you need. But thank you so much. It's so much easier than you doing it. Just let me do it and give me your money. That part's very important. Okay. Next, we'll go to Top Dolphin / Adam. Adam, thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Maybe I should stream more. I never do it, but if people follow me at Top Dolphin, twitch.tv, that's Top Dolphin, I'll like start streaming more. And maybe if you sub to Prime more, that would be great.
Maybe. But also next down the list is Mofa or JD. I don't know which one we call it. Mofa, are you there? All right, moving on then. Next, if you're talking, you're muted. Next, Casino. Thank you, Casino, for stopping by. You're not a streamer, are you?
I actually do. I stream basically every day nowadays. Actually, I stream gaming, Soul Calibur, Overwatch, Dark Souls, and PSO2. I also actually love debates. I've been debating on the Politics channel for about like 3 or 4 years now, and I have new YouTube vids coming out tomorrow and over the next few weeks. So yeah, check me out, XGC space Casino on all platforms, on Twitter, Discord.
Here it says
YouTube,
there's no space on Twitch. XGC Casino.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No space.
Great.
No space on Twitch. But yeah.
All right. I guess we're done. I guess we're done. No more. Yeah. I think there's no more people here.
Real quick.
What? Yeah. What?
Yeah. So we're at 453 YouTube subscribers. I would like to hit 1,000 at some point pretty soon. So if you have not subbed to the YouTube, do it.
The link is in chat, but we do apparently have one more. Her name is Katarana. Katarana, who was so kind to give 5 tier 3 subs yesterday, and also I believe you like scroll down if you're on the desktop, you can see like my top donors, and for like my PayPal donors, I believe she's like number. She takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I really appreciate Katarana for being so kind as to be here. Katarana, tell the world about yourself.
Fuck you.
Okay.
Kidding.
Damn.
Hello, my name is Katarana. I'm going to be on the Hippy Dippy Round Table recruitment tomorrow at 6 p.m. So you can go ahead and check out my Twitch. I promise you the audio is going to suck, so you can look forward to that. We're going to be talking about fun things like, you know, minimum wage. So basically, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste what Prime said, and then I'll just say the same thing, but like more eloquently, because I won't say as often.
Wow. Being fucking roasted.
Yeah, I know.
Roasted.
Yeah,
Fucking
and I
A.
also am a soon-to-be physics graduate and also soon-to-be satellite engineer. So if you would like to learn about space and physics and everything related to science except for biology, then you can follow me. I'm also doing my thesis on the effects of microgravity on the human heart when you are living in space. So I will be talking about things like that and, you know, about electricity, magnetism, and quantum, because all you fucking normies like the word quantum. And yeah, so that's me.
Yeah, hooray! Everyone, please go follow Katarana. You haven't done so yet. All right, I'm going to send you off to Trash Can. We haven't rated him in a little bit, so we're going to rate our good friend. Trash Can. Good friend. I don't think you ever actually talked to him directly before, but he's cool. Anyway, off you go. Come back Monday. It'll be great or something. I don't know. But I really appreciate all of you stopping by. And sticking with us through all of this, through this ordeal, which is my chat. All right.